Hello and welcome back to the couch. We saved you a seat. My name is Luke, and this is Simple Pennies, where we speak to random people that I know and we do interviews and talk trash and have fun and get to know each other and figure out what they're passionate about. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Today on the show, we've got Rin, and we're just going to bring her in. So here she comes. So, just a quick background: Ren and I first met on the beaches of Tanzania. It was a weird time. She was working in anthropology. I was working on tree bark manifestation,
Mhm.
and we just ran into each other at a local hostel. Then had a drink at the bar. One thing led to
Crazy.
another. Now we're friends.
It was a wild time. I miss those days, honestly.
Me too, man. The sun, the beach. Now I'm
I
stuck in a
know.
basement in DC.
I feel you. I'm right there with you.
Speaking of stuck in a basement, what's happening behind you? What piece of art is that?
I don't know. So a little bit of information that you didn't ask for. I live in an apartment via furnished finder. So this whole place was furnished when I moved in
Okay.
because I move every few months.
Oh, intentionally?
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, that's interesting. So you moved to DC or
Mhm.
you moved to this apartment.
I moved to DC.
And so do you plan on moving away soon? Look at you.
Yes.
That's
I feel
kind
like
of
maybe I didn't tell you that, but
no, I
yes,
didn't know.
way soon.
I didn't know. I'm a little sad, but
I
glad for
know.
you. Glad for you.
Thank you.
Um, so where's the next move?
Um, I'll be living in Michigan with my boyfriend, and because we moved for his job, basically, and I kind of tag along. I like to travel, so I I make it happen.
Well, you're talented at what you actually do. Let's
Thank
talk.
you.
What do you actually do? Let's do that.
Yes, so I actually do a lot of things, believe it or not. I feel like you might not even know this. I am a server bartender,
Mhm.
actually, but I also actually I tutor English as a second language to people on the internet,
Very cool.
which is the job that I get to take with me every time I go, every time I move.
So, so are you missing out on work right now to talk to me?
No, no, I scheduled you in, don't worry.
Good deal. Thank you.
I penciled you in, I made some time for you.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
That's cool. No, teaching English. My brother teaches English in Japan. That's his deal.
Right. Okay, that's so cool.
That's cool. So it's funny because like we don't read super well. so
Like, as a
so
family, none of
uh,
you read well?
I mean, we grew up not being readers.
Okay.
We all have different forms of reading disabilities slash ADHD. So it was always a trial to get us to pick up a book. Hey, read 17 pages. Absolutely not. Um, but the pattern recognition worked really well. So all of us
Mhm.
are pretty good at elementary and middle school math because we can just figure out, oh right,
Oh.
like I remember finding out 51 or 17 times 3 is 51 and it blew my brain and now 51 is my favorite number.
Wait, that's hilarious. No, I don't even come near me with math. I'm embarrassed about it, but I also just don't care enough.
What's
Like,
what does that mean? So like if I said like what's 4 times 4? You got 16 or no?
yeah,
Okay.
it would have taken me a second, but yeah, I would have got 16 for sure.
Oh, one of the
I got
hel-
12 times 12, 144.
there you go. That's I think that's like the peak of the table, right? No one
Yeah,
really goes
it
past
is.
12s. All right.
Yeah.
One of the things that they teach you like in weightlifting classes, which is kind of a silly thing, but all of the weights are the same weight. And so 225 isn't when you hear about people bench pressing 225 on the internet, that's not really that impressive in terms of number. But what it is it's visually super impressive because it's the bar with two plates. And so
Ah,
and so all these gym bros know the math for exactly how much one a plate is, which is 45 pounds or 20 kilograms. So there's just like, or it's really 44.5 pounds, but whatever.
right.
You know how it is. It's kilograms.
Mhm.
So so all these gym bros, including me at some point in my life, would we've got this weird like, oh right, yeah, no, that's 315. How do you know how
Oh,
much 315 is? Well, it's three plates on either side of an Olympic bar. So
interesting. And when you say weightlifting classes, do you mean like a personal training session or like literally classes?
so where are you from, Ren?
Chicago.
Cool. So in the South,
Oh,
just for a little
yes.
bit of education, in the South, we had like uh we had an actual football weightlifting class where like
Sure.
the football team uh, would sign up for it, and they would teach you how to train, and you would go about doing different days, different kinds of workouts, and um, it's a lot more prevalent in other parts of the South than it was where we're from. And you go to states like Ohio, it's their weight training situation is wild. Texas, same.
Ohio, you think Ohio is the South? There's no way.
No, 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 but they're
Oh, okay, but as an example,
well,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like, um, from what I gather, and I don't mean to point this out, but from what I
Mm.
gather, people like in Western Pennsylvania to the west, all the way to Chicago, there's like a section of those are just some tough SOBs. And so, like, the Ohio guy is a person, it's
Mhm.
6'1", 225, doesn't have a neck, but can't itch their back, like, very blue collar,
Beautiful.
a lot of Italians in that area,
All
like,
the
a lot of
time.
Irish, just
Mhm.
people who came over, um, at a certain time, worked in factories, just absolute weapons,
Mhm.
um,
You've had to do it. Just
very
did did the thing.
very common sense people,
Mm.
and so
It's
sometimes
it's it's on theme for this episode then, common sense.
simple pities, common sense. Yeah, do okay. So in my less sober years, if you can believe it,
Alright.
my because this is how we met, by the way,
Yeah.
in a bar. So while she was working, and she seen me at my worst and my best sometimes.
It's the singing. It's the singing. That's really what
Yeah, right.
popped me in.
Sure, sure. That's what it is. Oh man, I am a poof. Look at me. Um, wore a collared
If
shirt to
you
this.
even notice.
It's a beautiful blue shirt that I just happen to wear because it hides sweat stains.
Alright.
Where were we? Midwest, Ohio people,
Tanzania.
Tanzania.
We were talking
Those
about
are
working in a bar, drinking, less sober days.
less sober days, right? Simple pennies. So my younger brother and I get into creative modes. That's what we'll call it. Are they enhanced creative modes? Sometimes, but most of the time, every time. But we get into these. He'll ask me a random question like, "What superpower would you have if you couldn't have flight or invisibility?"
Mm,
Because flight and invisibility are like the two are one and two in most cases.
yeah.
And so that always begins this thing of who would win in a fight between Chewbacca and Goldar from the Power Rangers. It's Goldar, but um, it just becomes this thing. And so simple pennies, we were just talking trash to each other about Mario Kart, I think, or I don't know. And our trash is goofy brother banter, right? There's no
Totally.
maliciousness behind it. And I said I said something like, "Nah, bro, that's just that's just common sense. We're talking about simple pities, brother." And then I said it out loud. I was like, "Oh my god, did I just come up with that? That's so funny."
You're like, "Mind is blown." I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
we did the
Great
same.
work.
We did the same thing, and I've told this story before. I'm sure you've heard it, but in November of last year, we went to New York City, and we're not sober, and we're walking through the financial district, and so there's. Have you been to the city?
I've been to New I don't know the financial district, but I have been to New York City, yeah.
It's down near Times Square.
Alright.
It's where all the like the actual finance bros live, not the ones that
Okay,
live
yeah,
in
yeah.
DC, the real
Like
ones.
the real ones, yeah.
The real ones.
The real ones,
And
yeah, sure.
it's kind of creepy. It's kind of a creepy spot for me because it's all these high rise skyscrapers, and then there's like Catholic churches on every
Yeah,
other corner
okay.
that are extremely gothic and artistic looking. So it's kind of cool. Anyway, we were down there, and like I said, we're not very sober, and we're both from the South, and so we'll just jump into country accents for fun and just stay in a country accent for hours. And he said, "We need to get some pizza soon, or I'll be 3 beers deep on an empty stomach." And I was like, but he said it like, "We got to get some pizza soon, or I'll be 3 beers deep on an empty stomach." That's how he said it, and I was just like, "Oh, that's it. That's a country song. Why aren't we making this right
Ah.
now?"
Did you make the song?
We've been literally chatting about it since then. Like, how
I
can
love
we?
that.
because everyone knows what 3 beers deep on empty stomach feels like.
And that's the younger brother? Because 'Cause you're the
Mhm.
middle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
but you all 3 have your creative modes, right? Because you were talking about your older brother earlier,
Mhm.
doing something with you, but that was your younger brother. Okay, you 2 are making a song. All right.
It's
I'm
super
catching up.
it's super wild. My older brother is a phenomenal artist, like hand-drawn stuff.
Okay.
Super, super good. Born that way, I think, trained in it, and just kinda doesn't do it much anymore, and it kinda
Interesting.
makes me sad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But then he feels the same way about me when I'm, like, not singing. He's like, "Buddy, why
Mm.
aren't you not only do you love it," he's like, "but you're good at it. Why aren't you doing this?" And I'm like, "Right, okay, let me get back on the piano and get to work." Um, and then, Hank is just a formidable person. I don't know how to describe it, but, like, when he sets his mind to something, he's just formidable.
Yes, I met him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, Hank's a weapon. Um, he's a weapon.
I love it.
Love Hank. But yeah, yeah. So do you have your siblings?
I have an older sister.
What
We
is
are
y'all
vastly different from each other.
what's your relationship like? You still good? Still close?
Yeah, oh, totally, totally. It's just funny because, like, we have such different interests. We're, like, on completely other ends of the spectrum. The one thing that does, bond us a lot, though, is travel. We both love to travel, in different ways, like, but, like, we have different, like, travel styles, but we both love to travel, and so we try and whenever we're, like, wanna get together, we're like, "We should go somewhere." She still lives in Chicago, but, we were just in Denmark together, so that was really cool.
Very cool.
But yeah, so that's, like, the one thing that really bonds us. I think that's a one like, our one big commonality is that, so.
Like, why Denmark?
A place we've both never been before. Just
Okay.
somewhere new. Yeah, and it was really cool. Do you know anything about, like, the Nordic, Scandinavian have you ever been
No,
there?
I don't know. Only in hyperbole.
Okay, totally, totally. But it checks out. A lot of the, like, typical things you think of, it checks out.
Really?
They're all Vikings, yeah.
Like,
No, I'm kidding.
just giant people
Just
who are
no, that's actually not true, but they're yeah, I mean, winter most of the year, but they're happy there, they love it. Good food, very warm, like, people-wise, the people are warm. I love it. It was great.
great hot dogs, I hear.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, they load them up, like, vastly better than a Chicago dog, and that's from a Chicagoan, so
So you're saying you'd go back.
oh, totally,
What's
totally.
a where's another place you'd, like, go back to? Like,
Costa Rica,
okay, that's everyone says Costa Rica. Come on,
it's
what are we doing?
freaking awesome. Okay, fine. Another place I'd go back to
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't think I've ever traveled somewhere that I didn't really enjoy, like, for all
Okay.
different reasons, but there's really hasn't been a lot of places where I'm like, "Eh,"
Mm.
because I think there is something really cool and really unique about every individual place. Seattle,
Oh,
have we
right.
talked about this before? Have you been to Seattle?
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about it. If we have, I was hammered.
Okay, I don't maybe we haven't, I don't know. Loved Seattle, and I love that it's also close enough to nature, so you can, like, do nature stuff and then also have this awesome city.
Yeah.
Loved that.
Yeah,
What about
Seattle.
you?
Almost all my travel stateside.
Yeah, but
Uh,
still.
I it's ironic because it sounds stupid. My favorite place I've traveled is probably Tampa, Florida.
Okay, that doesn't sound stupid. Tell
Um,
why? Why Tampa?
so I'm a little bit cynical.
Okay.
I'm a lot of bit cynical.
Honestly, same. So let's hear it.
So the cool thing about Tampa is it feels like it feels like pre-Austin, Texas,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
except for there's less liberal folk.
Okay.
Not that that's a good or bad thing. There just is less liberal folk than what seems to have traveled from to Austin,
Yeah.
per what I've heard.
So, like, how does that manifest itself? Like, how do you notice that? Is just like less political speak, or like what about it?
It starts with cranes. So when I was there, there were so many cranes in
Like
the
the
city.
actual birds, or like
Act
the
like they
construction?
were building skyscrapers.
Okay, so yeah, construction cranes.
So
Okay.
I went to Seattle in 2018.
Mhm.
Yeah, 2018, I was in Seattle in September or October, and it was similar.
Okay.
There was tons of cranes out there, And I was like, "This is awesome. No wonder people talk about traveling to Seattle and moving
Mhm.
to Seattle and all that kind of stuff." And you could tell, like, you can visibly see the city getting bigger.
Mhm.
Kinda like if you travel out to Arlington and you go to the Boston area,
Mhm. Yeah,
there's,
yeah,
I mean, cranes all over the place. Like, you can actually see them,
yeah, yeah,
especially 4 or 5 years ago.
totally.
But when I was in Tampa, that was the case, and then I was working a convention, right? So I didn't get to spend a ton of time outside or with the natives, but, when I did get to spend time with the natives and people outside, it felt like, people that were maybe your age or older. I'm just gonna say that you're in your mid to late 20s.
You're exactly right.
Great. Um, and they were having fun and staying fit and being real people and relaxing, and there wasn't a ton of, like, homelessness.
Okay.
There wasn't but and the city was getting larger, and there's an aquarium, and it seemed like there's all sorts of stuff to do, and then I went out to the what is it? The island that's connected to Tampa, St. Pete,
Oh, is that okay, yeah.
I think that's it. I don't know. I went
Mhm.
out there, similar vibe, a little bit more beach-y, right?
Mhm.
Like a Myrtle Beach kinda thing, a little bit more
Sure.
like that, but it's still, I would meet, like, people in their young 30s or late 20s who didn't take themselves too seriously and were out just
Mhm.
having a good time, and I was like, "Man, this is why is it every place like this?"
Yeah, okay, I like
And
that.
I've been a couple of times. I don't know if it was because, like, Tom Brady moved down there and brought a Super Bowl down there, I don't know, or if
Could be.
it's because of it being open during COVID, but I like Tampa a lot.
I like that. So do you feel like DC, because in my experience, and I've only been here a few months, so I'm sure you would know far better than I, but I almost feel like DC is one of those places where everyone is taking themselves too seriously. Like young people or like people like, I mean, everyone, I guess. It doesn't get limited to just young people, but I think it definitely is that's what I feel like here.
Yeah, I mean, so I came from Asheville, North Carolina, and Asheville, North Carolina is pretty similar to Neverland. Like, you move there to not grow up.
Ah, okay. I like that.
And, oh, I spent the majority of my 20s there, and
Okay.
while I got to go to breweries and cool festivals, there's not really a job market there. So the moment I had a job, I could get a job where I could live, and it was up here, I jumped on the opportunity.
Totally.
Plus, there were some things I needed to leave behind. You move around, sometimes.
I know.
Yeah.
I do
So
know.
yeah, so I moved up here, and then I moved from a place where it's like Neverland to a place where 25-year-olds want to be CEOs,
Yeah.
and so it's like this banter that we have. It feels like it's only been 18 minutes, but it feels like no time has passed, right?
Right.
That's not a common thing here.
Mhm. And I feel like that is very evident working in like, because I really am not a person. I do not take myself seriously pretty much at all for the most part. But working in a place where I am constantly, taking care of and serving people like on the hill, people who have very serious jobs, and I love it and it's amazing and someone's got to do it. But I see exactly what you're saying is like there's not a lot of, it feels like even in a space where people should be relaxed, they're not. And you don't see like the walls come down at all. Uh in a lot of cases. In
I,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of thought about this and discussed it with people back home. The thought that, like, the society that, like, breeds the people who want to move here is, like, success driven, success
Mhm,
oriented, hyper focused intentions,
mhm,
and so that leaves no room for other hobbies and
mhm,
other processes, and I just that's where I that's my like where I gather. I so like I said, I came from a place that's the diametric opposite, where
yeah,
you can talk to someone about aliens, and then
yeah,
the next thing is like, what's happening with ozone layer, and then
mhm,
you're talking about politics. The thing that's also interesting about here is the mob mentality. Like,
mm,
everyone becomes everyone becomes the same type of person.
mm,
I know that I was working a corporate job, or I was working for a nonprofit, and one of my largest gripes was, like, for example, I would treat everyone the same.
Mhm.
and equally.
And is
Not
that
the same.
here in DC you were working that?
Yeah, I won't say the same. I will treat them exactly as if I wanna be treated, right? I want
Mm,
you to treat me the same way that I'm treating you, with
totally.
no more, no less. I don't want any more from you. I don't want any less from you. I want exactly this. It's the way I was raised. It's one of the benefits of my parents being
Love
raised by
that.
them. It's really
Yeah.
kinda cool. And it took maybe a year for me to realize that, uh, the way I look and how I talk, because I'm a taller white man who treats someone in a way that maybe they don't appreciate being treated, on top
Mhm.
of being a tall white man, I
Mm.
had to check myself at the door a whole lot, um,
Oh, okay, interesting.
which was tough sometimes. I would, there were there were times where I was pretty passionate about a project I was working on, and my intention was to get the other person who I need to work with as passionate about me, and they would throw up like roadblocks, or
Mm,
they would gatekeep. And I was like, why are you gatekeeping me right now? Like, I'm the subject matter expert here. Like, what are you doing? Like, how can I help you help me? What do I need to do?
yeah.
And I had to lay that out for them. Like, I'm not here to discourage you or to hurt you or to put you in a position to be unsuccessful. I actually
Mhm.
want you to succeed. What do I need to do to help you do that?
Yeah.
Um, Also taking into account the pressure that they're receiving from their supervisor, the pressure they're receiving from home life, like all of those things, I had to be pretty mindful. And
Sure.
what it came down to is like learning how to do my job in 20 hours a week because I couldn't get enough stuff done because I was so
Mm.
dependent on other people. Like
Oh my
actually,
gosh. That's tough.
it was weird. It took a long time for me to be like to figure out, oh, this is why they say corporate life takes is so slow and politics takes so slow because of this
Mhm.
kind of and I say that that's my experience. I imagine if you're for example, a young black female, like your experience is similar but completely a different way. Um,
Mhm.
Another benefit to growing up, well, being an adult in Asheville, was that like I don't believe in polarizing decision making.
Mm,
Like
okay.
like I don't believe in like this is right and this is wrong because there
There's a
is.
lot of a nuance in everything, whether that's you wanna see that as a good thing or a bad thing, there is. So I hear you in that.
Yeah, I mean, there's times when like I've been inebriated and performed tasks uh, with motor skills way better. Like I documented, and I know that's the case. Like I've been like 3 beers deep and more
On an empty
capable.
stomach.
Yeah, right. Well, not then probably, but but yeah, like I can like say, oh right, I can make this shot on beer pong. I can play the piano better. Like there are motor skill things that I know I'm better at. Um,
Mm,
but in the same vein, that's my brain chemistry. So
mhm.
it may not be the same for somebody else.
That's
So being mindful about those sort of situations, being thoughtful. My favorite thing about my favorite thing to like, and thing I forget about the most about DC is the DC bubble.
tell me more.
So people that come here come from all walks of life
Totally.
to work in leadership and government to make money like I did. Um, but there's so much social advantage to being here in terms of networking, in terms of having the trash picked up outside of your place, in terms
Mm,
of there's just like social in every aspect. That's not the same for anywhere else.
mm.
Um, where I came from in Western North Carolina, we didn't have a trash person. We went to the dump every week, every other week,
Yeah,
whatever the case was. There wasn't a pool I could freely access. Um,
mm,
a lot of the places in the South, church is their primary church and school are their primary social outlets.
yeah. Oh,
And
interesting.
so what I've come to find out too recently through therapy actually was like the church that my parents took us to, while they treated us phenomenally, there were other churches we could have gone to where there was like a social aspect
Mm,
that would have been more conducive for our individual social growth.
totally.
And it at first I couldn't put the puzzle pieces together until two people I knew from high school got married, and this is 10 years ago. Uh, but I was like, how they didn't even talk to each other in high school. Like, what's their story? And I come to find out they grew up in the same church.
Ah, okay.
They
Very
knew some of the
interesting.
same people. There's like that social network was there. It's
Yeah.
embedded as a, and like I said, I appreciate the church. My mother's going to watch this for sure. I appreciate the church we went to, but we've had this conversation before. Like being thoughtful about social networking is something that's embedded in DC, and it's something I
Mm,
kind of appreciate and can't quite wrap my head around.
totally. It is vastly different, but I also think that from my perspective, again, I am new here, but the social networking is almost not even for the sake of social networking. It seems like it is for the sake of like advancing your career potentially. Whereas somewhere in the South, as an example, from what I know, because I'm also not from the South, I feel like it's more for the sake of having a community and having connection. Do you see what I'm saying? And again, like this is just my perspective, and I could be way off. Um, because I know that in Chicago, I feel like we have the two sides of it. It's a very big city, beautiful city, and there is like the networking, like for the sake of your career side of Chicago, the finance pros and all the things.
Mhm.
But also there are so many other little communities that are literally for the sake of either doing and having an interest and connecting with each other, or literally just advance like growing your social network or your literal community. So I don't
Right.
know.
I mean, we're inherently tribal people.
Totally.
We're tribal beings.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to come to a place where like that tribal aspect isn't real.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would love to hear more about Chicago because like where I come from, isolationist mountain folk is a thing. And
Oh,
we don't talk about it because it's not something that they talk about. But like they for the they care about their neighbors and they care about their community and they may never leave that town.
okay.
But they're also like mountain folks. That they're a little bit kooky, they're a little weird. I'm that person. I love it.
Totally.
Um, but like you said, there's like what we would neighborhoods in Chicago, right? There's like kind of are they akin to like New York City boroughs? I've never been to Chicago, unfortunately. I'd love to go.
Yeah, you gotta go. Go in the summer. It's way more fun. But
Obviously.
yeah, I would definitely say maybe not as like distinct as the boroughs, and there's a lot like more of them. But yeah, like you will go like in different neighborhoods and they have their own kind of personalities. And you'll definitely see like this is like the art district. We have like the Chinatown. Like we have little it'll it's kind of like New York in that way of like, culturally there's a lot of different neighborhoods, but also I guess like microcultures that aren't based on like a nationality. So it is you gotta go. You gotta go. You'll
Is
love
it
Chicago.
is this Chicago hot dog as good as they say? I know that's such a layman lay question, but
Honestly, I don't think so. Sorry, Chicago people. It's fine, but it's a hot dog. I don't know. Like I said, the Nordic hot dog, the Danish hot dog, I enjoyed more than the Chicago dog. So
well,
sorry, y'all.
sorry. No,
Sorry.
no, that's all right. I mean, that's also like a what's the industry in Chicago? Obviously, they have the 3 or 4 or 5 massive sports teams, but like, what other industry is there?
Mm, great question.
Okay,
I mean, we have everything. It's everything. It's a massive city. I don't think there's like one thing more than the other, I guess. But maybe that's ignorant of me to say. I don't know. I feel like it really is everything.
the only thing I can kind of point to, and so my favorite time in history is the the U.S. between 1919 and probably 1940.
Okay.
That's the
You've got all
Fitzgeralds,
the prohibition, all
right?
that.
So that's
all
where I was leading to is like you got Capone up there doing his thing.
Mhm, totally.
Um,
You can take like a gangster tour around the
really,
city, and they'll show you all the places they like owned, the places they hung out, places people got shot. They'll give you the whole thing.
that would be cool. That
Yeah.
would be something I'd be super into.
Oh yeah.
Um, it actually, to be honest with you, that time period kind of reminds me of like today, right now.
In what way?
So like the big thing in Gatsby, like the subtext of Great Gatsby is
Sure.
new money versus old money,
Sure. Yeah,
and that seems to be kind of happening right now.
that's actually funny you say that. I've been having some conversations about that with my friends lately. Just you're totally right. Old money versus new money, and you can kind of see how the different experiences express themselves in a lot of ways.
You you get that here in
Yeah.
DC, new
Oh yeah.
money versus old money. You can kind of see it, and that uh, I've never been to a place, and this is the thing that maybe irritates me the most about this place, DC. And there are great things about DC, I guess,
Totally. I guess. Oh my god. I really do love it here. I feel like I'm saying a lot of the crazy things. I have loved my experience here so far. But continue.
I'm a little indifferent, but my least favorite thing is when you do meet people that the initial first question of "What do you do?
Mhm.
Where did you go to school?"
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and it's just if I had just lied and said I'd gone to Penn State, I might
And
have a
to
job. I might have a different kind of career,
Oh,
literally,
wow. Yeah. That's
or just learn as much as I can about Penn State and then lie
true.
about it.
And just roll with it. You're an actor. I'm sure you could make it happen easily.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, that is so interesting. And actually, a little bit of backstory. Before, like the week before I moved here, I was on a cruise, and on that cruise ship, I met two people who live here, and they were like, "Oh my god!" Like I knew that they were cool. Obviously, we hung out all week, whatever.
Yeah,
We moved here, and they kind of like took us under their wing a little bit, but they're like the most down to earth people, and they kind of were giving us the warning of like, "Listen, this is what you're going to find here is people are going to ask you, what do you do, who do you work for, where'd you go to school, before they even learn your name." And that's just like that in itself to me feels so like superficial, and
yeah,
it's kind of like damn, because it could be so much better.
yeah. It's weird. I'll give you my experience. I came to DC and I was working as a pretty low level assistant, but I was getting paid enough to live here. So it was like, okay, like I come
Cool.
from a place where they don't pay you enough to live there. Actually, my younger brother's struggling with that right now.
In Asheville.
Yeah, there's not an industry in Asheville, right? So the I'll go into that in a minute. But I did pretty well as assistant, taking ownership of my position. That's for all young people who are watching this, the tens of you. Take ownership of what you do
Mhm.
so that so you only have to spend brain power on the non-obvious
Mm, I like that.
for like forever. Like don't never do that for everything. When you have a kid, when you get married, everything. Just become the owner of your domain.
Yeah.
So you can focus solely on the non-obvious. Anyway, excuse me. The When I first moved here, I had an assistant role, and then like a year later, I was promoted, and then I was promoted again another year and a half later, and then I got into like a manager role. So I went from assistant to two roles that weren't manager roles, and then to a manager role. Those job titles are fake. They're not real. Like it just looks good on LinkedIn that I had a promotion,
Yeah.
but they're fake. And what you're talking about is, people who say, "Oh, I'm a consultant at wherever." It's like, is that real? Is your job title real, or is it fake? Like, because I don't know. Like, there are a few that are real. Like, if you're a director or a vice president, manager's a real title, assistant's a real title, but everything in between is it's like not real.
No, that's so funny. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
And it's like they know, like HR people, high end people, people that it's their name at the bottom of your pay stub.
Mhm.
They know, like they're aware that this is, oh right, okay, you're the whatever administrator. It's like, well, that's just a half step above assistant. Like whatever, that's not real,
A step above, but it's not really. Yeah, I know. I see what you're saying.
and it looks good, but it's not real. So
Because
it's
it's all
just
for show. It's all for show.
it's all for show. And then the and this I never took any like management classes, business management. anything like that. But when I found out that uh, the budget, big B budget, is such a manipulative word. It's
Mm.
much more manipulative than I thought it was. I thought it was simply adults in a room come together, take the financials from previous years,
Do some math.
do some math, create this form where they can assign budget to departments, or allocation,
Mhm.
whatever. I thought that was the case. That's not the case. There's I have IT managers come to me and say, or come to my supervisor and say, "Hey, what do you need for next year? We
Like,
have room in our budget for this." And
mm.
I was like, "Well, I want a bigger monitor so I can do more work. I want, these things." Of course, they never delivered that, but it dawned on me, like, they had to spend that money or they wouldn't get it the next year.
Mm.
And that was the thing that was going across the board. And so people were spending money on stupid shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but if I had more real estate on my screen, I literally could do better at my
More
job.
things.
Like,
Yes.
I'm like telling you what I need. And they're like, "No, we're not going to do that. Like, we can't give you preferential treatment." I'm like, but I'm
So why'd
actually
you
working.
ask?
I'm
Yeah.
actually working. Like, what are you talking about? So, and that's another thing about corporate world that I'm not a huge fan of. And this may just be nonprofits. There was there was a year that, like, through other minor things, grassroots engagement with people and relationship building and a few other things, I was able to generate better, like, a better data source that we used in order
Sure.
to marketing and engagement and talk to our members or whatever. I was able to, like, make that more succinct and thoughtfully created, and I had relationships with IT and everything. And what it transitioned into was, like, over $100,000 in revenue the next year through no
Yeah.
loss, no impact to budget, better relationships, all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it was like a really
All the
thoughtful
things.
thing. And I
Yeah.
wrote out exactly what I did for over the span of, like, 2.5 years, where it was like this kind of email campaign, and I
Mhm.
talked to these different people, and I worked with this person on IT, and I did all these things. And I was like, I did this without impact to budget.
Mhm.
And then I did not receive anything for it.
That's crazy. If they're asking what you need, can't you like, "I need a pay raise.
Yeah.
I need some sort of compensation or a bonus for doing this, creating this, essentially, like you said, all this revenue."
But and
Uh,
I'll be honest with you, like, I witness other people get promotions
yeah.
and get help. And, like, when I got an assistant and a promotion, I created more value, like,
Mhm.
exponentially.
Yeah.
But this person, I won't say their name, I won't say who they are or what their task is, but essentially they made, let's say, because they were in sales, they made like $1.3 million their first year. And then after the year 10, which was a couple of years ago, they were $1.7 million, which was lauded as an accomplishment.
Mm.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. That actually doesn't beat inflation.
Right. And over the span of 10 years, I mean, if you think about actual growth,
So if you're taking someone who's not beating inflation and giving them more resources, you're hurting the company, not helping the company.
yeah. Oh, that's so true.
Actually, like, you're spending more money on a losing thing,
Mhm.
and it was seen as like an impressive thing. And I brought that up, and they told me, just, it's not that big a deal. This is how that's
Mhm.
going to go. And then
Interesting.
also I was assigned to help them, and then they would complain about my work, and then I was like, hey,
Oh,
they assigned me to you so that you don't fail.
right.
Understand, because
Right.
they see you as incompetent. But
You're like, "Listen here. This is what's really happening." Yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy though.
it was insane.
Yeah, and that's the thing sometimes it's like, no matter, I don't know the ins and outs of the company or what, but it does feel like sometimes it's not made for there is they can't play favorites, but there is a little bit of favoritism or whatever because we should be rewarding the people who are doing the best work, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't always. the cookie doesn't always crumble that way.
It was when I was unfortunately let go, a large part of me was relieved.
Yeah. It
I was like, "Okay, I'm actually
it
happy I
was
don't
your
have to deal with
time.
this anymore."
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to say that I don't like that company. I think that company's fine. The people who are their members are incredible people. They do great stuff for their communities. I just my experience there was lackluster, and it taught me to distrust HR people.
Oh, interesting.
So they can we sold uh, a resource, I'll say, to companies that where they could see the compensation and benefits provided to each state for the same kind of company.
Oh,
For example, if you don't mind,
yeah.
it would be as if someone in the city of DC created a booklet where they were able to you were able to, as a restaurant owner, go and see exactly what your competitors were
Right.
paying per whatever.
Yeah,
You could actually just see it.
which is
And so
nice.
we created it for HR people. It's like, yeah, that's how we kind of design all of that kind of stuff. And when I found out that that was the case, I was like, oh, okay. So you're not compensating people based on merit, and you're compensating people based on competition,
Mhm.
but you're smiling to my face. Why do I want to work hard if you're not even being thoughtful about compensating me for my actual work?
Mm. Yeah, that's
And
it's,
just
the
that
game we play.
Just that FYI, that's every industry,
Yeah.
every single one. And so when we go back to talking about Asheville not really having an industry, and
Oh,
my
yeah, so go back.
yeah, my younger like there's not an industry there. Like, have you been?
I have not. I've would like to go. I'd like to visit.
You and the boyfriend should go. It, it's it's the South's craft beer mecca.
Hmm.
They have more craft beer there than they've got per capita. So microbrewery slash craft beer in it was in the country. I don't know if it's like that anymore, but in the country, they have a ton. It's great hiking.
Love that.
There's a river that runs right through the city that in the summertime you can tube down, which I intend to
Oh,
do here
that's
in
so
a couple of
fun.
months. Um, and you can get out and go to a brewery while you're on an inner tube, get some beer, get back in your inner tube, and
So
keep going.
fun.
And it's like New Belgium. You're right. It's like Fat Tire. It's not some random.
I love that.
It's really cool.
Well,
Um,
I yeah, big fan. I love beer, so I'm like, let me add this to the list. Maybe I'll try and get there this summer.
what's your favorite kind of beer?
I'm really into ambers right
Okay.
now. But yeah, there's a lot of like, I just love a good brewery. I like to try all the different experimental things. I recently tried like a pickle beer, which is surprisingly, I really enjoyed it. A lot of people hated it, but I really like that.
Was it sweet?
No, it literally tastes like beer with pickle juice in it.
Oh, I don't know. I like that.
I liked it. It was good. It was creative. I mean, I guess not like the most creative thing, but I thought it was a creative. I liked it
Uh, So, would you work for a brewery?
totally. The thing is, I feel like I need to be a little more knowledgeable on beer, like the process, because I feel like that's the kind of place where everyone wants to know, like, you know, the process, the beer making process. How was this one made? What's in this? Whatever. But I'm sure they teach you a lot of that based on
Yeah.
their brew process. So
If you
I work at a brewery, totally.
so I'll tell you my limited experience because I can't sit here and tell you that I'm some chemist who made
I
beer
let's
at
hear it.
a large. So, uh, my ex-girlfriend, now great friend, she was the front of house manager for a brewery in downtown Asheville.
Cool.
Uh, awesome awesome person. She was really good at her job. Horrible owners. They didn't treat her super well, but she made great money and she was good at it, and it was cool. She got me kind of networked and connected to that kind of scene. And so for like one of my birthdays, a friend of mine and I got together. My birthday's in August, so we got together in late June and made a beer
Oh, what?
at
That's so
his
cool.
house. Yeah, yeah, it was cool. And he had like a mid to expert level setup for making beer. And so
Wow.
he had a CO2 tank. He had the stuff. He
That's
had
cool.
he had everything.
That's
It's
really
really cool.
awesome.
And then fast forward to um, COVID. During COVID, I was going. I'd go. I could work from home, so I'd go to my parents' place in early November, like November 15th, 14th, or whatever. And my brother and I would go to the local beer making store, buy all the materials, which cost about 150 bucks, and then we brewed like 5 gallons of beer for the
Oh,
first
what?
time.
That's so cool.
It's really fun. And then it takes that process, and we did it the cheapest way,
Okay.
the least expensive way, and it cost. It takes like 5 weeks, and so we had home brewed beer for Christmas.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I was gonna say, I know that that's, like, not the quickest process. It takes
No,
time because you have to go through the actual fermentation and everything,
yeah. Once again, super novice. We did it
but
like
that's so cool.
5 or 6 times. I think there's still a couple left in my parents'
That's
refrigerator. We haven't made a beer in a couple of years, but
that's so cool. What did it end up tasting like? Like, what kind of category, I guess, of beer?
yeah. So the first one we made was like a dad beer. It's like 4.2%, easy to drink. Like I said, inexpensive process. So like we weren't filtering, we weren't
Right.
doing. It wasn't like a clear,
Yeah,
sediment. Sediment was settled in some of them. We made an IPA. We made which was like 5.7%, so it wasn't, I guess, technically an IPA, but
it's up there.
it was still hoppy. It was still good. But the coolest part about it was we got to hang out together, and
Yeah.
all of the beers were pretty drinkable. You could get fucked up on them. Um,
Beers on an empty stomach.
beers leave on empty stomach. We had a fun time doing it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the whole brewery situation.
Yeah, totally.
So in 2023, part of my job, I created this thing. It was kind of cool. So I knew the database. First, it's currently 11:45. Are you good to stay?
I'm good on time. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So currently, we created this. Uh, Long story short, I created like an in-house engagement scoring platform dashboard where we could see how engaged our members were, nonprofit, how engaged the people were that we dealt with were from least to most,
Okay.
based on if they came to events we hosted, if they participated in like programs, products, or services, if they, I don't know, whatever it is. We had different nodes that we were able to track. And so I put that together, created this dashboard. And in 2023, my supervisor and I spoke at the like national marketing and membership convention that takes place here in DC, and it was with the background of craft beer
Mm.
because it's a similar
Oh,
kind of process with working with collaboratively with other people and making sure the mixes everything correctly and being thoughtful
yeah.
about decision making and all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool to like step on stage in front of what would be my peers and talk about something we made in house that
That's
was
really cool.
also no impact to budget that we utilized a lot. We
Yeah.
utilized it a lot. It was really
It
cool.
sounds very useful, and also you are like a public speaking machine, like, that's your thing is being on stage, so
I tell you what, stage fright's out. Stage fright is terrible. I
no
get stage fright
way.
so bad. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like it's. I sang at church on Sunday. Um, Thankfully, it was an Elton John song, so it wasn't super
Sing
like
an Elton John song at church?
it wasn't super difficult. Yeah, his most recent album had some.
Like gospel type stuff?
It had some. It was about like, hey, when my life is over, know that I
Mm.
lived it.
Oh, okay, that's I'll have to listen.
It's it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But
Mhm.
during the summer in churches, a lot of times like they'll let their choir go and they'll just have different artists do different things. So
For
they take
sure.
like 3 months off and they
Oh,
come.
oh, so they it's like a yeah, it's like a nice summer break for them. That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's a common practice. And as a matter of fact, I didn't know that was the case until my mom brought it up.
You were like, "What?" Oh, so that's cool. So are you in the choir or you were the artist doing the thing for the church?
I was an artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so
But
cool.
their choir is incredible. I would feel weird about trying to jump into their choir.
Do you where do you go? I mean, I guess you don't have to share it to the world, but what church do you go to?
No, there's a Methodist church just down the street here.
Just right from you.
You
Okay.
can see if you're walking up towards the Capitol, you can see
Oh.
the tower on the left.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'll keep an eye out. That's cool.
Like when I come in on Sunday, a block.
Oh, that's awesome. A block. That's cool.
It's a block, yeah. So yeah, but it was Elton John song or whatever. I get crazy stage fright. It's it was fine yesterday. I was able to kind of I could feel my heart racing, and so I just smiled and I said, "Man, I love this," and I like had to kind of convince myself how much I loved it. It was
Okay, yeah.
a little bit. I'll tell you, it was funny. I go up there and I pick up the microphone, and there's no like sound engineer, so I had to like see somebody
Um,
else use the microphone to
mhm.
make sure that that was the one I wanted to use. So that another person went and picked up the mic. They said their piece. They put it back on the stand. I was like, great, I'll go use that one. And so I go and pick it up. Then I set up my music and everything. And the piano starts playing. And I sing the first verse, and the microphone had been turned off. And I did not know that the microphone had been turned off because
Oh my
I
god.
was too scared. I was too nervous to even look. And
Okay, yeah,
so
that's a yeah.
and there was probably 45 extra people at the service because there was a baptism that happened
Oh my
right before
god.
that.
Oh
And
my god,
so
that's
these are people who
crazy.
have never seen me before. I don't
Yeah.
know them at all. And anyway, so I got
I
the
hope you
mic.
were projecting.
I got the mic turned back on and I got after it. And it's like I sing another song later. It's the most fun I've had singing in a long time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I feel like I just am surprised that you get stage fright. I feel like because I perform, I'm a little bit of a performer myself, but I feel like I just kind of black out if I'm on stage. Like I get off stage and I'm like, did I do what I needed to do? I don't know. You
Yeah,
know, that
for
kind
me
of thing.
it's experience driven. So like when I was doing theater, you go through a process 6 to 8 weeks long where you're on stage constantly and everything
Mhm.
is repped and repped and repped. And there's
Yeah.
also mental reps that happen. And so in a lot of cases, when I'm the first person on stage, I just never had any issue.
Right.
Um, but for this, like if I feel insecure at all, the nervousness kicks up like a lot.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is different when you've, like, rehearsed something to death and when you're kind of like, "I am just here now, and we're gonna do it." Yeah, there's a difference,
And
definitely.
to be frank, I only started singing that song a week beforehand.
Okay, yeah. Well, because you said it's pretty new. I mean, I guess how new, I don't know, but
The song's like 2 months old.
okay, yeah, that's pretty new.
But I was asked, "Hey, can you sing this?" I was like, "Cool, yeah, I'll do it." And then I got the music and got prepared, and then it was like 3 days beforehand, and I was like, "Oh, man, I should really
You're like, "I
practice
need to
this."
do this." Yeah.
But yeah, stage fright's a thing. Stage fright's a thing in bathrooms too. Let's not get weird about it.
Oh, you're right, you're right, you're right. It
Stage
is.
fright's a thing.
Yeah.
Stage fright's a hilarious thing, actually. But yeah, I get stage fright all the time.
Have you ever
Uh,
had, like, an experience I mean, you just had the microphone one, but, like, have you ever had an experience of, like, a bad like stage fright or like bad thing happening like on stage or something like that?
uh, not related to stage fright, but I was in a straight play. Oh, I'm sorry. For those who don't know, a straight play is a play with no breaks, meaning it doesn't have a dance or music break. So it's not a musical. It is a straight play. It has nothing to do with sexual orientation. That's what theater people call it. A straight play.
That's what theater people call it.
That is what they call it. Oh yeah, I did a straight play. They know exactly what you're talking about. It's not a play for straights. Um,
That's hilarious.
yeah, it's pretty
Oh
funny.
my god.
It's pretty funny. The so I did a straight play, and uh, it was probably the biggest workload for me that I'd ever had in a
How long was the show?
so the show in terms of like is like an hour and a half.
Okay, but straight like yeah, that's
Okay, so it was like it was the show's Dial M for Murder, and I played the main character, and I was on stage for an hour and a half straight with an intermission.
oh wow, that's a lot.
And so I would go off and come back on, but I was the first person on that. I'm not like I wasn't on the stage for the first 10 pages, and I'm not on stage for like the last 3 pages, and then the rest of the time I'm on stage the entire time.
Yeah.
It was in an English accent, and my English accent is
Oh
a
my god.
garbage. It's garbage, and it was I to keep track. I do a lot of flashcards, so to keep track, I numbered my lines, and so
Mm.
there's 392 lines and 21 monologues, and I had 4 weeks to learn it.
Oh
Uh,
my god, were you
yeah.
paid to be in this show?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay. So I'm like, that's like a lot of time that takes. Like that's day in, day out, you're reading and
yeah,
remembering.
yeah. Gas money and food is what it paid for.
There you go.
It was a crazy. It was really cool actually. I learned a whole lot, and going into it, I was like, this is gonna be hard, and I'm okay with it. Like I had to kind of like coach myself a little bit into it. Like it's
Yeah.
fine. This is gonna be hard. Like I said, I had a reading disability.
Yeah.
I hadn't been diagnosed with ADHD at the time, so I didn't have any like medications or anything. I was
You're
doing
just
it.
going in.
Yeah, I was doing it unprotected, and so it was flashcards. It was memorizing monologues. It was 6 days of rehearsal a week. I
Yeah.
was still going to the gym 5 days a week at the time, and I had my regular job. It's not like I could just stop doing my regular job. I was still working
Right.
40 hours a week.
That's
Um,
insane.
it's an hour drive to the theater, an hour drive home every
You were
day.
busy. I bet that was like a crazy time in your life.
It was so fun. It was cool. And then when the director walked up and he was like, "Thank you for doing this," after the show ended. Anyway, so what had happened was during the second scene, um, this is an Alfred Hitchcock story. So it's about a murder that takes place. It's about the perfect murder, apparently. And he bribes or convinces my character, convinces an old friend to murder his now wife
Mm,
because she's inherited a bunch of money. And
valid
so,
reason.
yeah. And so we got into the guy who is the murderer and I were having a conversation on stage. And then it was like monologue. He would say something that was maybe twice the length of a normal line, and then monologue from me, and then another thing like that, and then another monologue. It was like a back to back
Mhm.
thing. And I don't know if I said something twice or he said something twice, but one of us said something twice and we got stuck in a loop.
Oh my god.
And then I was sitting on a couch and he was just standing with his hands in the pockets next to me, and there are lights on, there are people watching.
Like this was in the oh my god.
Like it was like the second to last performance too. So I had friends who were there who were watching.
That's like that's crazy.
And
That's
so
like a
there was
big fear,
there was like 10 full seconds of silence, which felt like 2 minutes.
I'm sure.
And uh I said, we didn't you'd think you'd have this figured out beforehand, but I said something that got us back on track.
Mhm.
I think we probably skipped a line, but yeah, that was I still have nightmares that are like that, where I'm like
Yeah.
not prepared enough to go on stage. About once a year, twice a year, I'll have that exact
Mhm.
nightmare.
That's
Actually,
crazy.
I wake up and think I'm not prepared for a show, and I'm like, oh, I haven't done a play in
Like,
forever.
I'm not even in a show. What am I what am I
Right?
worried about?
It happens a
Um,
lot, actually. I'm not
I
happy
feel
about it.
that. Yeah, yeah. Well, I get the dreams more of like, "Oh my god, I'm late for work," and I wake up, it's like 6 AM and I don't work till 4 PM, and I'm like, "Oh, what?" But, yeah, that is crazy, though. That is, like, a huge fear of mine because it's like, what do you do? Like, without breaking character, how do you go into everything else that you need to get in? That's crazy. I'm glad you got on track finally, but, like, you really had no choice but
So
to figure it out.
I took some regrettably, I took acting classes recently and had never taken acting classes before. And in those acting classes, they kind of give you the tools to not break character. And in
Mhm.
regard to like I've got a flashcard, so I have a line here, right?
Okay.
Let's say I'll like write the objective of each part of the phrase that has separate objectives to entice, to flirt, to to amuse, to whatever, and you write that objective out. And so and then on top of that, you've got what are the circumstances that brought you to that saying those words. And
Oh, okay.
so you try to like put yourself in that situation a little bit more intimately and
Yeah.
deeply in your body. That also involves like how this person stands, walks, talks.
Mhm.
So those are like the building blocks. And had I had that training before, I would have been able to just easily transition us into the next line and
Mhm.
whatnot and blah blah blah. But that, like having learned and rep that like mechanic
Yeah.
helps me with singing. It helps me with talking to strangers. It helps me with talking to
Mm.
people that I know because I think about the objective a lot, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what are we trying to do here? what are they trying to do here?
That's
Um,
so interesting. I like that. I like that a lot. But also that's the kind of thing that takes when you're in a show, that takes so much time, which is okay, but it like actually breaking down each individual section
mhm.
and having your body learn it as the character, like that takes time. So like you said 4 weeks before of like learning this whole show and like
It was
whoo,
fun.
to do it in that way, it's like you need to commit. You got to
It
be
was fun.
committed.
I it it was when I got finished, I was, I was like, "Oh, this is what it takes." And we're not even
Mm,
talking about the extra stuff we just talked about. Like, had I had that on
right.
top of it, it would have been game. And so,
Yeah, no,
but I
I'm
was like,
sure.
"Oh, this is what it takes to be a professional. This is what they do. This is what the Hugh Jackmans of the world
Uh,
do, and this is what the people who are trained in high school do and college or
mhm.
whatever." So I love the art of storytelling. I hate learning lines, so my intention is always to memorize as much as possible before I go in. There was one time I was in a
Mm,
role, and I know I've talked a whole lot, Ren audience. I'm sorry, but I was
great.
auditioning for a role, and this is before I did any professional auditions. But the director um, asked me to audition, and this is for a community theater show, so you probably shouldn't do that, right? Community theater should be right. It should be merit based, right? But he had asked me. He said, "Can you come audition for this? It's a straight play. It's what's it called? Stella, a streetcar named Desire." And he wanted me to play Stanley, not Stanley, whatever the main guy's name, the guy who's played by Marlon Brando in the movie, which is what he's famous for, one of his famous roles. And I was like, "Cool." So he handed me the script like a month or 2 months before auditions, and I memorized
Mm,
every line in the scripts.
mm. You were ready. You were ready
And I
for it.
showed up, and they handed me the sides, and I'd seen the movie a bunch of times. Understand, not trained. I was just trying to do the thing,
Mhm.
right? And he thought I could, so he was nice about it. And so I get in there and I do the audition. I look at the sides. I put the sides down, which are the sheet of paper with like the script lines on it, and I act the scene. Um, Great. Can you come do a callback? I said, sure. So I went to the callback, same thing. And I did not get the role.
Mm.
And the next thing I auditioned for was professional shows. And kind of the
Yeah.
reason what that lesson kind of taught me was you could be perfect for the role and they won't hire you. And so I went and saw the show,
Mm.
and it after talking to the director and talking to a friend of mine, I realized that like I would not have fit in that role for what they did.
Oh, but
So
why?
I think the primary reason was the female lead was the only one they felt comfortable putting on stage to play this role. And had I been
Oh.
in the antithesis or whatever, the male lead, um, it wouldn't have looked right. It wouldn't have felt right. It would have been weird.
Oh,
And
okay.
watching it, they're right.
Okay.
Like the guy who they got to play fit that role more adequately. Um,
Sure. Yeah,
I
yeah,
did not enjoy their performance, but
yeah.
it helped me with sort of decision making, in that you got to be as thoughtful as possible. And so like it's so interesting now when I think about not interesting, but it's interesting to me when I think about like, you know, how many times has um uh, I'm just trying to think of like random big name actors. Jake Gyllenhaal and Brad Pitt sat next to each other right before an audition
Mhm. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
because they're a similar type, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
That's
yeah, like how
funny.
many times did like Chris Hemsworth sit next to actually his own brother for a role?
I was just gonna say, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's probably more often than we think,
One of
definitely.
my favorite
Definitely.
example is is La La Land. I have a special place in my heart for La La
Yeah.
Land.
I feel like it got a lot of criticism.
La La Land? Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
It should. It should.
I
I
enjoyed
I
it.
love it. I love it, but it's not without it's like I mean, it's an LA movie, so like people who don't live in LA or ever been to LA like don't get it. Um,
Sure, okay.
there's the obvious like, oh, this is a white guy teaching black people jazz. I get that. I don't know that I agree, but I understand where you're coming from. Um,
I no, 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 I culturally, yes,
I get it.
I get that.
Like I said,
I get the
but
pushback
like
there. It's funny.
this is the story the director wanted to tell. So it's not my job to tell a
Mm.
director how to tell a story. Um,
Yeah, no, I feel that.
um, but in La La Land, it wasn't supposed to be Ryan Gosling and what's her fame, Emma Stone. It was
Yeah.
supposed to be oh geez, the girl who played Hermione Granger,
The other
Emma
Emma
Watson,
Watson, right?
and then in Top Gun Maverick, who's the guy who's Goose's son?
I don't know.
Boy, if I said his name, you would know. I'm gonna do it. So sorry.
I'm sure I would, but that would have been a vastly different movie, even with the 2 Emmas, like, the story would have been different. Not the story, I guess,
Miles
but
Teller. It was supposed to be
yeah.
Miles Teller and Emma Watson.
Mm, I
Yeah,
do know
yeah, yeah.
Miles Teller, you're right.
And so when Emma Watson decided to do Beauty and the Beast as Belle
Oh, was that the same
around the same time,
time?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, but she did great
But
as
like, are
Belle.
you gonna put Emma Stone with Miles Teller, or are you gonna put Emma Stone with Ryan
Mhm,
Gosling?
yeah, no, I hear you. There's gotta be the and that's the interesting thing about that industry is that, like, I guess you could say chemistry, but that like, the look like, appearances are kind of everything in the way of like you said, you have to match with the people you have to match the character, but you also have to match the people that you're working with in order for it to be, like, a conducive
Mhm.
piece of art, I
Well,
think.
like, one of the things my so we do on our YouTube channel, we do, like, reactions to TV shows and movies, and
Oh, yeah.
I
Why
don't know that I love doing it, but it's fun. I have a fun time doing it. W
it should be
we for
fun.
sure. One of the things that we talk about too, being, like, from the area that I'm from in terms of, like, what I enjoy doing is, like, when you watch a movie or a TV show that's not necessarily character driven, but it's driven by a narrative, like a Shakespeare narrative. In some cases, and this is the best example in the Batman with Robert Pattinson. Right? Have you seen it? Okay,
No, I haven't.
it doesn't really matter. The point is the city of Gotham itself is a
Mhm.
character
Is that
in the
yes,
show. In
totally.
what's another big movie that you've seen?
That's so vague. That is
I
so
mean,
vague.
in Lord of the
Um,
Rings, the ring is a character itself.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
no, I know. In Supernatural, the car is a character,
Supernatural, like the show. I've never
the
seen it.
show.
William was William was getting
Yes.
on to me too because like we're thinking about doing reactions to like Countdown, which is a Jensen Ackles show or that's coming out on
Okay,
Amazon.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, "Dude, you've never seen Supernatural?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm not the
That's
biggest fan
crazy
of
to me.
Jensen Ackles, I guess, but yeah, whatever." He's
He's great.
apparently he
He's
is.
great. Yeah,
So
he
I'm
is.
thinking about Supernatural being my next binge, but I've got like 11 seasons.
It's it says 15.
Okay, so I've already done Arrow, and I'm pretty much done with
Okay.
CW shows. I watched Arrow when it came out, and I'm just like, I don't know that I want to watch whatever. Anyway, um, and anyway, we're talking about like had Miles Teller and Emma Stone been on the same screen, that would have added
Mhm.
a dynamic or a character or whatever you want to call it that would have been
Yeah.
distracting.
Yes. Okay, yeah, that's a great way to
Yeah,
describe it. Definitely. And that circles back to, like, your show or whatever, whoever this female lead was, and they had their heart set on her, if it wasn't gonna work out, it just wasn't gonna work out, and there's some things that you just, like,
and
can't force. And I remember that
no,
being
no,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
do your thing.
I was gonna say, I remember that being an issue, like, when I was in, like, high school theater and being kind of like, this person could be really good for this role, but because we have or this person is good for this role, but because we have such limited people to choose from, you kind of have to throw 2 people on a stage and say, "Do
All right,
your best," because it's so like, in a space like that, it's so limited, whereas Hollywood is, like, everyone's trying to make it in Hollywood, so you'll find the right
there,
person, typically.
there's literally millions of examples of this, and no one talks about it.
You're
Like,
right.
the
You're
probably the
right.
most famous example of this kind of thing, and I say famous because it's infamous, I guess, is LeBron James, where, like, for a decade and a half, LeBron James is the best basketball player in the world, and he's compared
Okay.
to Michael Jordan and Kobe
Okay.
Bryant, and and
And
everybody's
Kobe.
like, Michael Jordan is the GOAT, he's the greatest of all time, he has X rings, blah, 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 blah. But then, maybe the best team wasn't put around LeBron James. Maybe LeBron
Ah,
James had other intentions. Maybe there's this, maybe there's
mm,
that. And then what is the through line of those 15 years of the NBA? Right? There's only one. It's LeBron James is dominant. So it's like, okay, is he not the best because he like like
right.
maybe
It's the individual, but it's also everything
right.
that surrounds it's the circumstances as well, or the
I
environment
was in
with
it.
it. Yeah,
I was
it's
not to
all
compare
the
myself
same.
to LeBron James, but I was in a show early in my theater career, Guys and Dolls, which
Okay.
is
Okay,
regrettably
yeah, I
my
know that
favorite
one.
show because I was in it 4 times. I love it. I could probably still
Oh,
I
I
could
love
still
that.
play Sky Masterson, I think. I think I'm still, like, young enough to whatever.
You can make it
Yeah.
happen.
But I was in this show, and so I came into the audition, same director as the one from it's the same guy.
Oh, cool.
And I was 23 years old, and I came into the audition. I already knew the entire script because I had done it twice before at that point. And they, I got cast, and the director came to me privately and was like, "Hey, we're going to cast you as Sky. Go ahead and get your things going. Go ahead and figure it out." I said, "Cool, cool, cool." And he said, "But there's a thing. There's this thing because I asked him who's my Sarah." And he said, "Well, it's between these two girls, and I need to kind of figure out who would, look best with you." And so he took a picture of me, and he was like, "Okay," so he could like compare. And who ended up getting cast opposite me, and I'm 22, 23 years old at the time, is a 17-year-old high school girl. Uh, and
You're like, "Yeah,
I was like, damn it. I was like, I had a girlfriend at the time, plus she's 17, I'm 22. Like, damn.
yeah."
And so
You're
I
like,
was
"Yeah,
like, okay, we're gonna have to figure this out. I feel so uncomfortable about this. Like, I've not done a ton of theater already. Like,
right."
and I'm the main character in this show, and I want them to make money, but at the same time, like, whatever. A lot of thoughts going through my head. And it
I'm
turned
sure.
out, and shout out to her. It had turned out that her parents pretty conservative, living outside of Asheville, which was also scary. Uh, and they weren't broke. I'll say that's all I'll say about that.
They
And
weren't
and
broke.
she was
Alright.
beautiful. She's a beautiful young person at the time and still is. Uh, she became Miss Teen USA like 6 months after the show.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. Oh
she's
my
an absolute
god.
weapon.
Was she
She lives in
but did it worked though, right? You 2
it
together on
was I was
stage?
so much worse than the other 3 leads. I was so worse. Like, I thought I was, like, coming in as the shoe-in, and
Sure, and then you're like,
I think back to it, I'm like, the 3 of them killed it, and they were dragging me through the show. And I
"No, but
it
that's
was real. Like, I'm not mad about it. I learned a lot. It was real. Like, I had a fun time, but I
yeah,
didn't know what I was doing. And as a matter of fact, I played Scott Masterson again in my early 30s, so 10 years later, at a
okay,
community
yeah."
theater in Hendersonville. And, uh, I have this is my, like, one awesome theater story other than the one we talked about earlier with is,
With
at the before the last show, I still didn't feel like I'd played the role correctly. And so I had this my brother wrote this thing on Facebook in 2016, 2017 about how proud he was of me that I was continuing to do this thing outside of work, that I was continuing to do this hobby
totally,
that's healthy and
yeah.
thoughtful and hard. Um, and so I had printed it out and I put it in my wallet. And I was like, I need to figure out how to play this character. Had been trained, didn't know what I was doing, but I was
Mhm.
like, this is the last time I'm going to do this. I need to do this right. There's like 85 people in the audience, maybe 110. Like, why am I trying so hard, right? Uh, but I was listening to a couple of songs outside of the theater and just pacing, and I pulled it out of my wallet and I read it and I started crying. And then I stood out there for 10 minutes and I kind of just let it hang out and I did it all with intention and
Mhm.
uh anyway, it was cool. It was
That's really
cool.
cool, and it was the best performance you
Yeah,
ever gave,
for
I'm
sure.
sure. That's
It was a
really
really cool
cool.
moment. I cried
Yeah.
afterwards. And but yeah, you talked about blacking out while like being on stage. My favorite,
Mhm.
so the moment that I knew that I needed to do performance, like that needed to be a part of my life at some point, was uh regrettably I was in Cabaret. Have you ever seen Cabaret? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I was playing like the Nazi in Cabaret, obviously.
Okay. How old were you at this
It's
time?
probably
You said
24,
obviously in
24 or
Canada.
25. Oh,
Okay, so this was after
this is after the,
this
yeah.
was after
Yeah. I was
okay.
24 or 25, yeah. And I mean, look at me. It's like, hey, we have a 6'3"
Hey, you can play
blonde
this
haired,
role.
blue eyed white dude. Let's put him
Yep.
here. Um, and I remember during one of the performances, and I knew the other performers pretty intimately. We had done shows together for years before that. Um, I remember forgetting there was an audience and being completely locked into the emotion and to the moment. And then I was like, oh, I had genuine hate for that person. I need to
Mm.
go outside. So so I
Oh,
had to like
wow.
chill out because I was like, I was all the way in. I was locked.
Yeah.
I was not me. I was somebody else. And I forgot there was 300 people in the audience.
That's crazy, but that's also, like that you're right, that is the moment because that's what it is, that's what it should be, right? Is like the whole you are the character, you are that person in
Yeah,
that
it's
moment. That's so
it's
interesting.
really it was like, okay, I need to chase this. Whatever this feeling is. This is really cool.
That is
So, anyway, we talked about performance a lot and we talked about my performances a whole lot. So I apologize. But
No, I'm learning so much about you, I think it's
oh
cool.
geez. Yeah, I've had a wild life. I've
It's
had a wild
great.
situation. I've had a wild life here. It's kind of weird. I've got
Mm,
okay.
it should be that way, you should always like chasing like your brother said, chasing your passions, doing things outside of work. I think also so many people forget to do that and totally lose that. Like I don't know if you can speak to this. From seeing your friends or like I feel like I have friends that like stopped doing things that they love because they got like a big kid job and stuff. Like I will pray to God it's never me. I hope I never lose my passion for like doing things that I love or like challenging myself to like learn a whole ass script in 4 weeks or the kinds of things that like we should be doing
Right.
these things. I
Security
think
is such a sec-
an
it's an
illusion.
illusion. It's scary. Like for me, like for example, I haven't had a job for a long time, like since October. And so I had money, I had money saved up, but there's like currently a security issue. Like I'm trying to kind of figure out, okay, how am I going
Mm,
to make it a little bit further? So for example, yesterday, I set up, so I'm currently like tip certified and have my serve safe and did the first level Cicerone beer thing. Like I'm a
sure,
certified beer server. Like I have their certificate.
because you make your own beer,
Well, no,
so
I mean, I
duh.
literally got it 2 weeks ago. Uh, and
Okay.
I did it in preparation to like go work at a brewery because I was like, I want to learn,
Mhm.
I want to go serve beer and hang out with brewers. I love the industry. I love those kinds of people. And so I want to do beer tasting on the channel at some point where it's like, hey, this is a
Mm,
whatever IPA made by Bell's Two Heart, made by Bell's, and this is what it's supposed to taste like according to the book, and here's my reaction to it, and then have other
I
people
like
on it too.
that.
Yeah, drinking alcohol on YouTube is kind of a weird thing, so I got to make sure it's right, but it's not a problem.
Sure.
But also, I want to be credentialed to say,
Yeah, you don't wanna just be like, I'm telling you this without any sort of background or
right,
any
right, right,
anything.
right.
Totally.
And then there are levels to the Cicerone, like sommelier,
Mhm.
right? There's like 4 levels of sommelier. The
There's like
fourth level
yeah.
is like you grow grapes out of your asshole, like it's you know what I mean? Basically.
Basically, yeah,
So there are 4 levels of this too, and the first one is like
sure.
certified beer sales person. Like you can talk about what a
Mhm.
wit beer is, and you are aware of what if there's a certain aroma from a beer. Oh, that line's dirty. Maybe we should get that cleaned or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so but I did that in preparation to work for a brewery, and then also do there's I mean, this weekend at RFK,
Oh, yeah,
I
Project
worked
Glow
it
Fest.
yesterday.
Shut up. I wanted to go so bad. Okay, tell me about that experience
Yeah,
working it. You were like, were you like selling beer?
no. No,
You're
so, I had never
like, yeah,
I was so
tell me.
nervous, and so, like, I'd kinda signed up to be, like, a bar back because I was like, "Okay, I can fill ice, and I can make sure other people are prepared to be successful." That's
Yeah.
something I'm super thoughtful about doing. I'm not a weak physically person, so lifting things isn't difficult, and I can work for hours on end without needing many breaks. Cool. And so day 1, I get there, and I'm, crazy nervous because 'cause I'd never done any of that shit before.
Yeah, you
I worked for
whatever,
a
maybe.
caterer, like a wedding caterer. Like I'd done some service industry stuff, but never like run a POS and made sure people were getting their, never that. And so I get to the front of the line and they said, do you want to make a? They're like, I was like, yeah, I came for a bar back, and they were like, okay, but can you bartend? And I was like, oh, I've never bartended before. And
You're
they were
like,
like, okay, go stand over there. And I was like, damn it. So day 1, they sent me home and they were like, "We'll just pay you for 4 hours of your time and,
mm,
whatever." And I was pretty I mean, it's cool that, Saturday I got paid for nothing, but, because
yeah,
I walked there. It's like I actually got
okay.
paid for nothing, um, but, they I was frustrated because I was like, the experience for me was more what I was looking for. I wanted to, like, hang out with service
Mhm.
industry people, cut off
Yeah, make
cut cut
connections,
off people
thing.
when I'm supposed to, all of that kind of thing, what they kind of teach you in the whatever. And so day 2, I get down there and they're like, come a little bit early so we can get you in, right? We want to make sure that you get some work in. We didn't like turning you away yesterday, so I went a little earlier yesterday, and same thing happened. Can you bartend? And I said, well, I can beer tend. I didn't want to say I didn't know how, right? Essentially,
Yeah.
be a resource. So
Mhm.
they're like, great, we'll set you up in this. They're called, and I feel so naive. They're called beat boxes. They're
Oh my
wine
god,
coolers.
I know the beatbox. I am aware of the
Apparently,
beatbox.
a lot of people are. So
Yeah. At that kind of festival too, yeah, that's
so
the thing.
they put me on that, and the first 3 minutes I was a little bit scared, and the rest of the time I was rolling. Like I only had to serve 4 or 5 things. All I had to do was like,
Yeah,
all right, cool, bam, bam, tap your card here, cool, here you go.
yeah,
Uh, it was, I
yeah.
mean, I was turning over, and I got a rhythm in, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was ass cheeks and music the entire time. I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
that's the exact festival, that's the
for
whole
those who are
vibe.
watching, I literally mean butt cheeks,
No, literal butt
actual
cheeks.
ass
Yeah,
cheeks.
it was a rave. It's a EDM festival. So many butt
So
cheeks.
many butt cheeks, lots of mud, uh,
Mhm.
lots of skin. So it was cool. I think I did good though.
Yeah.
I think I made like a good amount of money too. Like
Yeah, hell yeah. How did you get, like, do that? Do you work, like, with a company that, like, matches you with that kind of
I
thing? Or, like, how did you
I
end
was
up
on
there?
Craigslist looking for service industry jobs.
No
And they were
way.
like,
Okay, on
okay, we've
Craigslist.
got 3 events coming up. And this was the first one.
Cool.
So the next one is uh, it's the Pride Festival. It's same place.
And then what
And then Warp Tour. So going back,
well, if you're working there, I'll be there. I'll get a
okay,
beatbox
cool,
from you.
thanks. I may be doing other things, who knows? It's the
Oh,
kind of thing that, like, yeah, after that first day, I was like, just learn on the fly. Like, they are there to help you and put you in a position to be successful, but, like, what they can't teach you is how to be personable, and that's something that,
exactly. Soft
yeah, that
skills.
you've got. So, um, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, we started at, like, 3 o'clock and ended at 10 p.m. Not
Yeah,
too
that's not too
bad.
bad. Yeah.
So for, like, Pride, I think I'm gonna get, like, a couple of black tank tops
It's gonna be great. You're gonna have
and
a
just
great
wear
time.
black tank tops the entire time so that, like,
There you go.
yoked Luke can walk around. Um,
There you
but,
go.
yeah, it was fun, and I mean, you'd have liked it. You'd
Good
have
for
liked it.
you. Yeah, and so many butt cheeks. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes
Gotta
you didn't
love
wanna see
it.
the ass cheeks. A lot of times you didn't wanna see the ass cheeks. They
But
were
they were
there.
there.
A lot of
But they
people on
were there.
drugs. I
Mhm.
mean, it was,
Oh, believe me, I go to these things all the time. I know
it
how it
was a
is. I know the beatbox. I know the whole
It was cool, but,
shebang.
like, yeah, like, not having a job and then the being like, "Okay, you have to kinda figure it out." Like, people suck at security. They
Challenge.
suck at, like,
Mm,
they need that kind of, like, "Oh, this 9 to 5 will help me do what I wanna do." And it's like, "Well, what do you wanna do?" And they're like, "Well, we're not sure." I was like, "Yeah, because your only hobby is drinking right now. So what would you do if you didn't have this
mm.
security? Would you just be drinking? Like, what are you doing? What do you think?"
Totally. Oh my god, and that's so true. That's so true. And I feel like being someone who moves around and, like, moves jobs and things, I think that that's like, I can relate to that, what you just said. It's like, okay, well, I'm trying to work so that I can do the things I wanna do, which includes making videos, traveling, dancing, going to event, you know what I mean? Like, there is so many, security is an illusion.
So,
It's an
dancing
illusion.
like EDM or dancing like you're a professional, like 1, 2, 3, 4,
I'm not a
5, 6, 7,
professional.
8.
Well, yeah, there's those are dance counts in any those are counts in any music, essentially. But okay, maybe that's not a fair blanket statement, but I dance. I shuffle, which is you probably saw people shuffling at
Yeah.
Flowfest.
I didn't know if you were trained,
Yeah,
if you were a trained dancer.
I mean, I've danced my whole life,
Awesome.
so yeah,
That's cool.
trained-ish. Not like
No,
professionally,
that's
but
cool. There's
trained-ish.
not that many there's not that look, I've been to I am not a dancer, and I love dancing socially,
It's
but I
fun.
can dance, and I'm athletic enough to do it, but I'm not a dancer, and
Yeah,
so
but you're not trained. Okay, sure.
it's so like, I can learn a song in a week, right?
Good for
Like, but
you.
watching a trained dancer learn a dance thing in under 3 days,
It's
breaks my
actually
brain.
insane. It's insane, but it also is, like, it's so stupid and cliche, muscle memory. You do it, like, 4 times and your body starts to just do it. I mean, it's kinda like your weightlifting or
I
whatever. You do it a couple times and you're doing your reps and
If
you're
you
good
say
to go.
so. I don't know, maybe my
No,
ADHD makes it
yeah.
worse, but, like, I get so, like
You can learn a song, I feel like it's not much different.
yeah, I mean, it's
Or
you're
lines
totally right.
even.
I'm just insecure about dancing, like, on stage with people. If like I said, socially,
Challenge.
put a two-step together, I could do a bell, you know?
Totally. You
But,
can yeah, you can
it's
move
just
around.
it is what it is, like and we're talking about what we love to do. I do wanna talk about this before we get too late. We're at, like, an hour and a half.
Yes, I know.
YouTube. When did this start? What was going on here?
Oh my god, I, like, literally get embarrassed a little bit because I still have videos on my YouTube channel from, like, 2016, which really wasn't that long ago, but, like, it's so embarrassing because they were so
Mhm.
bad. Like, my first vlogs were so bad. But I mean, it started with traveling, I love like I said, I love to travel. Started capturing my travels, like, in around
Yeah.
2016-ish, and just didn't know what to do with the footage. I'm like, "Okay, yeah, pictures are great, let's take videos, but now what do I do with it?" So I started doing, like, after movies, which would just literally be, like, montage of all the things, put a song on it, call it a day. But then I was like, this could be like a legit like video
Mhm.
diary, like a video journal. Like I can literally talk about my experience, blah, blah, blah. And so it has just morphed over time. So lots of music festivals, lots of travel, some stuff in between, events and things. I love it. I think it's so
Well,
fun.
you've
It's so
got 2,000 subscribers,
mhm.
500
I just hit that
yeah,
today.
right, congrats, that was
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. 500 pieces of content, a little over 500. Let's break down to the skinny. What is the, image altering image what do you use do you use Photoshop? Like, what do you use?
Mm. I edit with Vegas Pro, which is a editing software that oh wait, that's for how I edit my videos. It's an editing software that learned with because not to incriminate myself, but I had a free version at one time. And then when I finally got like, started taking it more seriously, got a nicer camera, the editing software could not handle like the high quality image. So I just purchased the updated version of the software. So it's what I learned on, and I feel like Adobe has like, amazing services, but it's kind of hard to learn. And this is just what I know already, so I roll with that. I make my thumbnails with
Okay.
Canva actually, and I think we talked about thumbnails at some point too. Trying to figure out like how to make them, how what works, and that's also been a journey of like having a lot of really bad thumbnails to now I think my thumbnails are
They
pretty
look
okay
great.
now.
I'm looking at them right now.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. Definitely
your content has like real legacy appeal. Um,
thank
Meaning
you.
like someone in 5 years could be looking up something about Copenhagen and be like, "Oh, there's a cute girl who talked about Copenhagen. Let's see what she has to say."
I like to think so. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you.
So, and that's something that like, so okay, so I was using GIMP for image alteration. Free
Mhm,
software, most people know about it. It kind of sucks. It's not very
mhm.
intuitive. Uh, in the last week, I've been learning Affinity, which is I
Affinity,
think
okay.
is if you're not aware, it's similar to Photoshop. It's got that same vibe.
Okay, yeah.
Um, it's I was locked into making GIMP stuff to where
Mhm,
I was able to turn things around pretty quickly. I don't have any former experience with that kind of software.
mhm,
So like learning it was like asking questions on ChatGPT, and
mhm.
ChatGPT gave you like a 10-step thing, and on step 2, it's like I don't have that button. Like, what are you?
Exactly! Oh my gosh, that's the hardest
Yeah.
part.
So like
Yeah.
you get into a rabbit hole of addressing,
Mhm,
ways that
mhm.
it's communicating with you or you're communicating with it. And then ultimately coming to the answer because I'm not interested in losing. So I'm not gonna lose to ChatGPT. We're not doing that. A lot of times
Yeah.
I have an idea and it tells me how to do the thing and it takes me forever to do it. And then I look at what I did and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want to use this. So yeah,
You're like, "I'm
yeah,
not a
yeah.
fan." Yeah.
And then I my oldest friend, best friend, I talked to him last night. He is a video editor for motion pictures, and you may
Oh,
have met
wow.
Aaron. He's visited recently enough that you might have met him. But um,
I don't know.
he sometime in November probably or October. But anyway, um, he uses DaVinci Resolve, which is like a higher end
Mhm,
video. I had no idea what this
mhm.
was or whatever. So it's a little bit complicated, but I've gotten to a point where I'm like using it pretty well.
Oh, good, good for you. That's, like, so scary to me, like, DaVinci Resolve. It's one of those things that I feel like it takes a long time to
It
learn.
it was well, and, he's my age and he's been using it for a decade. So,
Yes.
I went ahead and got the professional version. I didn't even mess around with the free version. And
Yeah.
then
So limited
and
sometimes, it's
and then
just
he and
not.
my older brother use it. So, I bounce ideas off of them, and, um, I'm pretty good at, like, one of the pattern recognition is kinda my thing. So, like, I'm pretty good at, like, taking things and standardizing them and then making them the standard and then moving forward with the process.
Okay.
Like I said, taking care of the non-obvious only. Um, so I would say don't be intimidated by DaVinci Resolve. It is massive.
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's like the way that I conceptualize it is I want to have a quick turnaround time for my whole video process, including the thumbnails, and I don't have the time or I'm not prioritizing the time at the moment to learn something new. I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I know that this could benefit me, but because I want to have a quicker
Mhm.
turnaround time, I'm not going to bother, kind of, which I know could be very like self-limiting. But what I'm doing now is working for me. And so I feel like, but also, yeah, DaVinci Resolve, it's a beast. I mean, good for you. And maybe someday, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I went ahead
awesome
and
for
got
you.
like this microphone and studio headphones,
Mhm.
and the PC that I'm working on is not a joke. At the time, and this was in November, at the time, it was like high end. Now now it's not as high end, but at the time,
Crazy how things
I
change. Yeah.
grew up playing video games, and
Mhm.
there currently isn't a video game on the market that I can't play at a frame rate higher than at a frame rate that's not an issue. So,
Okay.
there's not really a need to upgrade my machine for another 2 or 3 years based
Yeah,
on
definitely.
We'll
based
see
on
how,
days.
like, quantum computing becomes a thing in the next 3 to 5 years,
Oh my god. I can't even
but
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so you've
Yeah.
got, like, legacy content. Like, like,
Thank you.
the content we produce isn't that. Um, we there's a few videos that keep getting, views, um,
Mhm.
and, like, one of them is, like, us the Sinners trailer reaction that we did on day 5, and it just keeps
Yes.
on, like, each week, 30, 40 views each one. But there's stuff that hasn't got, you know what I mean? There's stuff that hasn't done very well. Wheel of we
I
Wheel
feel
of
like oh,
Time kind
sorry.
of carried our base
Mhm.
for weeks there for 5 or 6 weeks, did pretty well. But, really what I'm more concerned about now, because I think the content is pretty good. We could do better with sound personally. Like, I could figure out how to edit sound a little bit better. Uh, and I could get an upgrade on my camera, right? Because right now it's a 1080 camera. I could get a 2K, a 4K camera. Um,
I use my well, I mean, I don't do the same type of content as you, but, like, right now I'm on my laptop camera, so that shows you how bad
yeah.
mine is. My little webcam.
This program that we're using here, Restream, free shout out. You're welcome. It does,
Mhm.
the version that I have, which is like a year long subscription. I don't know how much it only goes to 720p. When
Mm.
I do reactions and other things, we pipe video and audio out of Discord and
Oh,
use
interesting,
Streamlabs
okay.
and OBS to at the
Okay,
same
yeah.
time actually to capture all the things.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and
And that's typically you and your brother, right?
both brothers actually, younger
Okay.
brother and I did Andor, the Star Wars show.
Okay. 'Cause do you do stuff on your own? I feel like I mean, obviously, this kind of thing is you, the podcasty type, the simple pennies. But okay, I'm seeing now. Yeah, it's usually you and your
Well, we found out
broskies.
that like multiple like I had done some stuff on my own. But
Okay, yeah.
just about every piece of content that had multiple people on a thumbnail got more clicks.
Very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the thing is, I know we are talking about like jobs and things, but uh, is YouTube on your radar to hopefully become a like financial side project or
Yeah,
something
so
like
when I
that?
worked this is not really kind of like if it made enough to pay for the subscriptions that we were utilizing, Netflix or whatever. Yeah, for sure, for
Hmm.
sure, for sure. That's kind of the first goal. If it like can pay me enough to replace my camera with a 4K camera, which costs about 200 bucks. I just don't feel comfortable paying for it. I don't need to.
Yeah.
There's other things for me to spend my money and time on that
Hmm.
are more debilitating. Is debilitating the right
Hmm.
word? Sure. Um,
Sure.
so once again, computers expensive, whatever. All these other programs are expensive, but the camp, like I have white teeth, great. You know what I mean? Like you can see my eye color's blue, fantastic, right? Like, right.
All you need.
My brother brought me a studio light, and so I've got a light flashing right in my face. I had to kind of figure out how I like that, and anyway, I just don't feel like the camera's worth it right now for me to
Yeah.
do. So anything in terms of YouTube that can cover those costs on a monthly basis, fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And you know how hobbies are. So like if you can take a hobby and make it into a job, great. But for me,
Hmm.
this goes back to what we talked about for the engagement dashboard and making revenue and doing those things. All that came together by like making little adjustments over the course of time and being
Right.
and following through and being disciplined about them. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
creating
Totally.
standards and then keeping those standards and then improving those standards
Mhm.
as I'm more capable of doing it. So part of it, I used to get kind of hard on myself because I was like, no, I want to improve more faster. It's like, nah, that's not how that works. So while like the reaction stuff is more, it's fun and I get to do it with my brothers and we get to goof off.
Mhm.
Uh, there's a there's like a overarching like brand that I'm kind of like trying to put together, and it's so the reason why it's called Kitchen Couch. We've never talked about this. So the
I
reason
don't
why
think
it's
so.
called kitchen couch, there's a real story and then there's a thought behind it. So the real story is that Aaron, one of my oldest friend, and I work together, and he's done stuff on the channel too with us. Um, he we were living together at the time. Some during anyway, some young women were coming to stay with us during a weekend, and our house was a mess. So we proceeded to decide, two dudes. We decided to clean it up. And it wasn't that nice a house to begin with, but we had plenty of space for them to stay with us. So we decided to clean it up. And I knew in our relationship, like he's like the straight man, and I'm the goofy one. I'm the outgoing person. Like
Classic
we've got an odd
match.
couple. You got an odd couple
Totally.
situation, and so he's behind the camera, in front of the camera, all that kind of thing. And so I knew he wouldn't kind of go for something super outlandish or goofy because it's just not his style. And
Mhm.
so when we decided to clean the house, I was like, okay, the girls are coming. Let's hang out a little bit, get unsober and clean. And so he went and cleaned the bathroom. He's gone for like an hour. I'm like, buddy, the bathroom's not that large. Like, well, you were gone for an hour using a
What are you doing?
toothbrush. Anyway, um, but he comes back, I just could finish the kitchen and a few other things. And I said, hey, do you want to use that piece of that sectional into the kitchen? And he was like, I think it's a great idea. And I was like, oh God, he went for it. That's so awesome. And so we picked it up that moment, carried it in there. And it was enough speed. There was enough space underneath the window where there would be like a
Mhm.
breakfast table, like a small whatever.
Yeah,
There was enough space in the window where we could put it next to a trash can. And
I love
it had
it.
like one armrest. It was this old shitty couch we had inherited from a previous roommate. And everyone in our life, every single person, they shit on this idea. Every single person. Yeah,
The
yeah. They
kitchen
were
couch.
like, "What do you have a couch in your kitchen for? The house sucks. Like, what are you doing?" Everything, any kind of example, and
I love
every
it.
person converted. It had a
Ah,
100% conversion rate. That couch is awesome,
that's
and
amazing.
the energy is. And I feel this with my parents' place too, including my mom. Actually, my mom converted on December 24th, 2022. My dad had bought some stools for whatever reason, and I put one of the stools in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Just you need a place to place it, and like for 2 or 3 weeks before I was had gotten there for Christmas, he had been sitting on the stool talking to my mom, and my mom. We were talking about improvements, like if you could change, they built their house. So I was like, if you could change anything, what would you change? Blah, 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 blah. And finally my mom caved. She told us it took her like 25 minutes to get to it, but she was like, I really kind of enjoy your dad talking to me on the stool in the kitchen while I make dinner. We never had that time together before. And I was just like,
Aw,
so kitchen couch is really just like
I
it's
love
that
that.
it's that kind of intimacy. It's at the end of it's at a house party and everybody's just standing around the kitchen for no fucking reason when there's like a living room.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so
and yeah,
funny.
that's where that comes from.
I like it, and it's very it is unique, and it is the brand, which I love, and I think it matches really well with what you do, with the like, having the get like, even the fact that you and your brothers talk together about things, like, I think that all matches everything that it's, like, meant to with the kitchen
It's
couch.
really
That's really cool.
goofy and the whole energy is like, and I don't mean to sound super, what is it? DEI. I don't mean to sound super DEI, but it really is like, we don't care. You can actually say whatever you want. Like, don't be malicious, but you can say whatever you want. You can believe that, Lincoln was killed by a horse, right? Whatever. Just come have a good time.
Sure,
I
yeah,
understand you might get shit on a little bit, and that's okay. Like, it's fine.
mhm,
We're not here to hate on you. We talk trash.
exactly.
Um, and so that's kind of where the energy came
Cool.
from. And so like where you're talking about with revenue from YouTube, it's not necessarily revenue with YouTube. It's more like creating a community of people who get to come and hang out with us. Because
I
this
like
it's a place where people have hung out with us a bunch already.
Mhm,
And this is a space, and I find DC to be kind of lonesome in a lot of ways because of
mhm,
that like social networking aspect where there's a narrative. where people are trying to elevate
Mhm.
their career or their space or their
Uh-huh.
capability, and they're not there just to have fun and be a person. And so, like, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Let's create something that is like this, and it's pretty collaborative. We made a change recently, like in the last week, where like when we did reactions, we had this thing where like, is this a if it was a movie, are you gonna watch this on the couch or is this something you'd go in the theater, right? Because we wanted to use the same word association.
Ooh.
And then that's what we had been doing for a long time, and then we were doing like series reactions, and my brother was like, okay, for movies we do this, but for TV we want to do, is this a priority one? Like you're going to do it immediately? Is it priority two? You'll get around to it. Is it priority three? Probably not going to get to it at any point whatsoever. We all have
Interesting.
those chores in our life, right? That are those things, right?
Um,
And so and
uh,
so we did that for we had been doing whatever. And I put in the comments, I said, is this a priority one, two, or three? Drive engagement. Uh, and got a ton of
yeah,
comments from uh people that watched that
good.
video, and I was like, "Okay, cool. We're never
Yeah,
doing the 'is this a theater or a coucher' thing ever again. We're just gonna do this priority 1, priority 2," and so he was just making a graphic for it, and it was showing me, like, is it 1, 2, or 3, so that there's some visual aid. Um,
that's so cool. Yeah, I like that. It's cool because I think that my channel is so like me, myself, and I. So to have someone to bounce ideas off of, and like you said, a creative think tank or whatever you said earlier, like that's really cool. Because I feel like so much I'll like ask people for like how do you think this thumbnail looks or whatever, but most of it is like me dreaming up my own ideas so, without a team, and you have a team in a lot of ways. So
he
that's really
sent me a
cool.
video the other day that was like how to make your video more clickable. And I was like,
Mm,
cool. And it's this like strategy or tactic where you essentially go on a guest Gmail account and you you pick up whatever is your 8 largest videos
mhm.
and you kind of search for them to see how long it takes for your video to get picked up.
Oh,
So
interesting. Ooh,
and so you can
okay.
take notes on, okay, this thumbnail is this, and this is this these are some of the questions that are being asked or addressed within the comments that you can maybe address in your own video. And
Mhm.
so to be frank with you, I haven't done the super deep dive, but like one of the things and you do pretty well on this that I notice is that on our thumbnails, this is just a little thing. The hosts are a very small part of the image,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
you're not a small part of your image. You are
Nope.
part of your image.
You're not.
And like you said your content's like me, myself, and I, and it makes sense that you're such a large part of that. It's thoughtful.
Mhm,
Like, and I was
mhm,
like, yeah, we need to make ourselves
mhm.
larger in the image. We need to be a little bit more expressive. And like I said, I haven't
Mhm.
done a super deep dive, but that's what I'm
That's
finding out.
but it's interesting. I'm looking at your channel right now, and I feel like even, like, with the thumbnails, the last, like the more recent ones, they look better than the ones did
Yeah.
before. I mean, like, I can see that you are, kind of, making the changes, growing, learning.
I
That's
mean,
really cool.
I like one of my
Awesome.
goals is to become a professional singer
Okay.
and pianist, and I don't ever intend on learning the piano like Chopin or like these infamous pianist people,
Sure.
but I can read music and I can like and so like my intention is to play the piano like Elton John, basically, where he's playing rhythm.
Right.
He's playing chord after chord after chord after chord or whatever the case may be, or repeating the chords, whatever. And just like so I could go like take a piano to an open mic one day and play 3 songs and see if I could sing and play at the same time and then just kind of grow that way. I don't
That's
really
really cool.
want another corporate job, but I might have to take a corporate job someday.
I feel that. I
Um,
feel that. We're doing what we can to do live our passions instead
but
of living according to someone
but
else's
but like I
system.
said, yeah, I think it's all in like all of it is part of the same goal, right? So more like if you're more relevant online, then you have more credit. I'll call it. You have more social credit other places, right?
Mm,
And
mhm.
so
I feel
if you're more relevant on this thing, It's this. So that's the energy of
Yeah.
Kitchen Couch too, is like, you know, I'd love to do a live version, not live version. I love to do like, let's say I work at a brewery, right? And let's
Mhm.
say, and this isn't really even a goal. I thought about this a little bit, but not enough to like put it to paper or present it to anyone.
Mhm.
But let's say like I work at a brewery and then I'm like, hey, can I just shoot a show here? In the morning while brewing is happening. We won't be in the way.
Yeah.
I'll come up and set up my own cameras and mics. Like, we're not going to worry about it. And I'm going to have people in here and we're going to be talking about your beer while we do
The fears happen. Yeah.
whatever you and I are doing right here, right now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's
And then,
cool.
and
I like
yeah.
that idea.
But it takes social credit to like get that.
Mhm.
You gotta be, you gotta be so,
Yeah.
but like I have a singing a cover music channel where I sing covers to YouTube.
What?
Yeah,
Can I subscribe
for
to that one
sure. It's
too?
called Luke Marshall Sings at youtube.com because Marshall's my middle name. But I only have
M 2
mhm.
L's at the end? Okay, Imma find it. I just wrote down a note because right now I'm
So what happened
yeah.
earlier this year when I got professional mic, also I have a desk that lifts like
Oh, you have the standing
mhm.
desk thing? You
I
could, like,
literally
stand
push
in
a
it?
button
Oh,
and it
that's
goes. "Ooh."
oh, that's
It's not
awesome.
super stable, so like if I bump it at all, you can tell. But
Oh, okay, sure, sure, sure.
it does lift. Anyway, Luke Marshall Sings comes from, whatever. And so like I just picked 4 songs at the beginning of this year and then decided to sing into those songs and I recorded them in DaVinci Resolve, which isn't the best for vocal recordings, but it's a program I
Okay.
knew how to use at the time or whatever. And then I did 4 songs and put them to karaoke tracks that I just ripped off of YouTube. And so the goal with that would be to, but I didn't know how to YouTube. And so I,
Sure.
there was for the longest time there was no descriptions, there was no tags, there was nothing.
Mm.
There was
There's no
nothing. It
nothing.
was just
Sure.
them out there, right?
How we learn.
Um, because the intention of that project was to learn how to sing, learn how to put it on YouTube, learn how to edit, learn how to cut my own voice. All of the songs,
Mm.
all 4 of them are straight cuts. By the way, I'm sorry, there are no cuts. It's beginning to end.
And
So I
okay,
wasn't like
yeah.
piecemealing them together. It was me from beginning to
Right.
end. Probably a terrible decision, to be honest with you. But uh,
It is what
but
it
the
is.
last song I put up had like 269 uh, tries,
Oh, like, literally.
like
Okay,
literally.
wow.
And so um, I I got a little exhausted, and I was like, cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna move on to doing some other things. And now I'm
Yep,
thinking about getting back into it because I kind of know how to YouTube a little bit. And you're talking about that
definitely.
social credit. Um, and I mean, I have this dream. My brother talks about my Hank. You met Hank. He used to ride motorcycles, and he got
Oh,
into a
okay.
horrible motorcycle accident, and
Mhm.
horrible, like pretty close to not being a person again. And
Oh my
yeah,
god.
it was bad. But he recovered, and you've met him. He's fine now. But
Mhm.
he every time, he only talks about his love of riding motorcycles with me because he knows that he'll
Oh,
catch flack from other people, right?
in what way?
Like
Like,
because it's so
because
because
he
it's
got
so dangerous. Because he almost
ah,
died,
okay.
like
Yeah,
super almost died. And so
yeah.
I mean, I was the first phone call. Like
Oof.
like the nurse who happened to be at the Waffle House across the street ran out and said, "Who
What?
do you need to call right now?" And he recited my phone number and then called me on the phone at 11 something at night. It was super scary. So,
I imagine. Oh my god, that's like a horror
yeah,
movie,
it was a
Jesus
wild time. It was a
Christ.
wild time. And of course, we all knew it was a possibility. He's riding a fucking motorcycle. But thankfully, it
Yeah,
wasn't his
yeah,
fault. It was somebody else's fault. And thankfully, he's fully healed and he's better for it.
yeah.
Anyway, but he talked about his love of riding motorcycles, and he only talks to me about it, like because
Mhm.
he's just in, he doesn't want to. Anyway, with my
Yeah,
parents being scared for their life that their son just died from a motorcycle accident.
yeah.
So um,
Mhm.
I when he talks about it, I was like, "I completely understand." And then there was one time he was like, "There's no way you can understand." And I said, "I'm so sorry, but have you ever sung on stage before?"
Oh, you got him.
I was like, "Have you ever had like an audience in the palm of your hand while you're all the way invested into a song and you're hitting every note and every word and phrase with intention and specificity? Have you ever done that?"
Mm,
I said, "Because I've only done it a few times, and those few times make me want to do it all the time." And he
right,
was like, "Oh." I was like, "Do you know how much freedom there is? I'm the one with the mic. I'm the one doing the thing. It's a level I'm getting
right.
goosebumps thinking about it. It's the most freeing thing in the world." And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's what riding a motorcycle is."
He's like, "Okay, fine, maybe you do
And
get
so
it."
I was like, I was
Yeah,
like, when I dream massive, I see myself on stage, a silhouette of myself on stage with a ball cap on, which is hilarious, in a
that is
flannel shirt and a pair of jeans, just crushing a mic, and I can see the lights, and I'm standing in the audience watching myself perform and having a great time.
that's
And I can hear it. I can almost hear myself doing it. And so
yeah,
um, that dream happened last year, at the end of last year, and I was like, okay, we got to figure out how to
yeah.
do this. So
Nice.
part like I said, it's happening kind of in stages, and I'm kind of just letting life determine how that happens for me personally. But like I said, I sang.
You gotta chase it, you
I
gotta
have
chase it. You gotta get back on doing your videos for doing your songs. Put them out
absolutely.
there.
I
Put
mean,
them out there.
go listen to them if you want. They're not great. Um, they're not great. I wasn't super good at video editing or audio editing. So, like for example, the music's too loud in all of them. Um,
Oh,
And so, like,
yeah.
I'm trying to blend with the music, and then I hear this Elton John piece that I had to sing, and I'm like, "Oh, right, he is maybe twice as loud as the music." Okay.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Like, that makes sense.
I did
That
"Ordinary People" by John Legend. Great song. It could be better. It was pretty good. I was like, "This is where I wanna stop right here. Great. I'm cool with this. I'm cool with
there
putting
you go.
this online."
Yeah.
Um But now I go back and listen to it, and I'm like, "Okay, here are the ways I would improve this. I would maybe make my vocals more loud. I would rehearse the intention of the words. I would rehearse the vowels, consonants. I'd make them more consistent. Um,
Mm,
I would maybe not try to sing as much. I would support a little bit more on some of these moments. Things that like a
mhm.
vocal coach or a recording studio would tell you. But
Yeah. But that's the thing is you don't know it until you do
Would
it.
yeah, yeah,
So you gotta
yeah.
just do it.
Like I
Gotta
said,
start.
we talked so much more about me than you. I'm so sorry.
It's
But,
okay.
so do you see and we're now close to 2 hours. Do you see, like, revenue coming from do you currently see? Because okay, sorry. So,
Mhm.
part of the thing that we have to kinda get past is this 1,000 subscriber thing, and
Yes.
then
And your 4,000
well, 4,000 view hours we crushed, actually.
Okay, I was gonna ask how you were doing on that.
That one I so my older brother has a tourism channel for Japan.
What? That's
Yeah.
so cool. Send
And
that to me too.
I will. I'll just say it. What is it? It's called Founded Japan.
Found in
And
Japan?
his thumbnail or emblem is this orange emblem that's about yay big, and it says Founded Japan.
Oh, found in Japan. Oh, look at him go. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, cool.
And
Well,
so
starting to
similar to
cool.
your channel where it's like, hey, these are my experiences. Come live them with me. Um, he's
Mhm,
got a similar thing. This is what you can experience in Japan. There's a lot of
mhm.
YouTubers doing stuff in Japan too that are American
Okay.
or not natives. And so he's
Right.
finding some whatever. But anywho, he's kind of sort of helped me out with it. Where are we coming from this? Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so he found getting subscribers being easier because than the
Then the
hours,
hours.
and I mean, not I
I
never do
think
shorts, but like I think we hit the 4,000 hour mark in like a month and a half because we did that Wheel of Time reaction, and that was like that first one was 3,000 hours. Or I'm
that's
sorry, it was 1,000
insane.
hours. It was 1,000 hours.
But still, that's the hours were the hardest for me to get to as well because, well, for one, a lot of my videos, not shorts, but a lot of my videos were, averaging less than 10 minutes, a lot of them. And also, um, yeah, but also the content that you're making, is stuff people want to stay till the end for. A lot of, you know what I mean? Like that gives you more watch time, even if it's an hour long video. The content that you're doing, your reactions, you're talking in depth about the characters and the whatever's. People want to hear that his opinion. Sometimes if people see something and they're not engaged, if with like a Copenhagen, then they're like they click on it because it
Yeah,
looked cool, then they don't care anymore. They'll just click
yeah.
away. You
It's
know, so it's like,
like I will
mm,
say, like the things that we're the most passionate about often are the most unviewed. And part of it has to do with because
mhm,
there's other creators doing so much content on that. Part of it is
mhm.
because uh yeah, actually that is a huge part of it. Mainly because, like, for example, Star Wars. We did reactions to all of the episodes of Andor season 2. Phenomenal show. Please watch it. It's really good. A lot of the content's super topical currently. Actually,
Mm.
for example, there's a whole thing that happens in the middle of the season that is essentially Desert Storm.
Oh my god, like,
Like
actually? Well,
like
I guess
why did we go to the Middle East to get that oil? There's literally that's the backdrop of that show, actually. It's
okay.
wild. There's other super topical things, but yeah. And so outside of even those super topical things, the performances are good. The character driven stuff is great.
Mhm.
The score, the music, the anyway, it's really thoughtful. There's a few episodes that are but the rest of them are bangers. And so
Worth it. Yeah,
we
that
make
makes
this
sense.
content. It's 12 episodes. We put it out, and while we've currently gotten quite a few views, over the course of time because people have like navigated from episode 1 to episode 12 or whatever,
Totally.
like how many other creators are doing Star Wars content? Like
Mhm.
tough.
It's
It's
hard and
difficult. How do you put
it's
yourself in
tough.
front of those people? And so part of that,
Mhm.
it's part of that like thumbnail research or answering those questions that I was the deep dive stuff. It's really, hey, how do we capture that audience? How do we invite them? How do we get them to engage? Um,
Mhm.
how do you make your video clickable? Um,
Yeah. No, there's a lot that goes into it. Because then you also have to consider on the back end too, that's getting people to the video, but then keeping people in your video. You said you crushed the hours, but then in theory, you'll end up getting paid based on your retention and everything, and
like
yeah,
there's
it's a
like
lot.
contemplating um, eight essentially 8 minutes of video, right? You want 8 minutes of video, according to my brother. I don't actually know the current thing, but 8 minutes of video so that you can have um, AdSense happen. So it's 8 minutes,
Yes.
16 minutes, however many. And so uh, that is tough to do alone. It's tough to do 8 minutes of content by myself, reacting to a trailer that I maybe don't
Right.
care about or whatever.
Right, right.
But going all the way back, like I said, do you currently see revenue from your stuff or no?
Yes. Yeah, I finally passed the threshold, like, I think I got monetized in March, and,
How how how
so
long
it's
were you
like,
into how long were you into the journey before you got monetized in March?
oh my god, like
Oh
8
wow, okay.
years. Yeah. Well, but okay, but you have to consider, like, when did I start taking it seriously? Probably, like, 2 years, 3 years ago, because for the longest time, like, now I'm consistently have a video every week, at least one. I know you're doing, like, a video a day, which
Trying
is
to.
fucking awesome. Excuse my language.
Choose to.
Um, um, but what was I saying? Yeah, the before like the last couple of before like 2 years ago, I was just uploading a video like kind of when it was convenient for me, but I needed to like I'm like if I want to really do this, not necessarily for money, but like if I want to grow my audience, if I want to try and reach a specific audience, which I'm kind of trying to target right now, I need to be consistent. And so it's been a long time in the making. And like I said, the beginning of my journey was like bad. Like the videos are bad. Like I can honestly and objectively say that they just weren't good, not good, not high quality. The editing was like minimal to like absolutely nothing. And for my type of video, that's what keeps the people
Yep.
engaged. Is like the transitions and like text on screen of where we are and what we're doing and just fun stuff like that. So
It's
yeah,
not, but um, like for those who made it to the 2 hour mark, like
right.
nobody expects the videos to be like it was a pretty ambitious goal. I told my older brother, I said, I want to put out I think either a video a day or 2 videos a day for the next until we get to 100 videos. And it took
Love it.
it took as long as it took to get to 100 videos, but the goal wasn't for watch hours. For me, it wasn't for him. It was a little different, but for me, it wasn't watch hours. It wasn't subscribers. It was like I need to be able to build. I need to be able to build this kind of ongoing thing that I know I can do every day. 18
Mhm,
times in repetition creates a habit, right? And
mhm.
so, or whatever they say, 10,000 hours, whatever the case is,
Yeah,
the whole
the
shebang.
whole shebang.
And so, like, it's funny because like that was my goal, just get to 100 videos. I think right now we're at 200. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I got you
But
on this tab at
but like for
211.
example, like this is you can't see it. Let's see. Oh no, that doesn't work. Oh, I don't know. But oh, whatever. On this flashcard are like the dynamic zooms for making shorts. So like if I
Okay,
have
yeah,
like
yeah.
a section of Ballerina, the Ana de Armas movie that is in the John Wick universe is coming out this weekend, right? And so I
Okay.
cut together a short using one of these cards that it's got listed Streamlabs on it, so it's from the Streamlabs program, and I will
Mm,
like clip a section that I think is funny, interesting, weird. We have a great reaction to, and then I put it into another timeline that's already preset for the phone, vertical,
hurts.
and then and
Yeah.
then manipulate all of the timelines to make sure it matches. I watch it a few
Mhm,
times and I'm like, all right, cool, we're good. And I put
mhm,
it through. But it's got like video clip 1, video clip 2, video clip 3, and then I've got the backdrops already preset with text already preset. So all I have to do is change the
mm.
text if I want to.
Oh, yeah, nice. See, you have the standard, and then you move from there. That's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
I try. It's and then like if I come up with a good idea for another short or another way to put it, or maybe I just get tired of it, I'll be like, okay, how can we manipulate this to make this better? And so then I'll go
Mhm,
look at other people who have shorts and figure out how I can make it a little bit more enticing or thoughtful.
mhm,
Um, but like get to a point where I'm capable of repeating a complex task, and then
mhm,
and then let that just be a thing for a while.
mhm.
But like I said, the movie's coming out in a week. Yeah, on Friday. And so I've got it scheduled to be released on Wednesday morning
Okay,
because
nice.
that's when maybe I might release it a little early. Their marketing's been weird, but I might release it earlier. I might just decide, hey, I don't want to put out a video today. I've got the short pre in the chamber. Let's put it out.
Yeah,
So it's really just like for me, it's like in terms of monetization, like I don't know that I want to like be a full time
totally.
reactor. That's not
Right.
something that I'm super thrilled about doing. I love doing it because I'm doing it with people I care about.
Yeah, and it's like a fun pastime. It's right now it is a hobby. It's a fun thing.
Right. But what I'd like to do is get into narrative building and creating content. So for example, one of my favorite what I'd like to do that I think would be a fun thing, we rewrote Star Wars.
Huh?
Like you do like a 9 episode YouTube thing of we
Mhm.
rewrote Star Wars.
Okay.
And you take the world building that George Lucas created and you
Okay.
say, here's how I would rewrite each one of the movies to optimize the story
Interesting.
plots
So, like,
based.
but keeping the same characters and everything, though, just rewriting the narrative of it?
Mhm. Yeah, and
Oh,
I would have and
okay.
Aaron and I are big Star Wars people. We grew up on
Nice.
Star Wars, and so like that would be like something we could do where take out and we would literally storyboard all 9 movies, and then we would talk about like where we would both like it to go, where our how we would move a little bit differently, how we would navigate the same. We have more or less the same feelings towards each of the movies, and coming from different angles in terms of performances. For him, it's artistic stuff. Like, but I'll give you an example, right? So, um, anime is something that we grew up with. Watching Dragon Ball Z growing up, then jumping in, finding out there's a more than just Dragon Ball Z, and then Naruto and Bleach and One Piece were the big three that came out more recently, and blah 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 blah
Mhm.
blah. There's a lot there, but there's a storytelling trope that like isn't in Shakespeare, but it's in Eastern storytelling
Okay.
quite a bit. But because it's not in Shakespeare, like we don't see it.
Okay.
We see a hero's journey, or we see the Hamlet storyline, which is Iron Man and Lion King and all those. We
Mhm.
see Romeo and Juliet quite a bit. We see all these story tropes that are just Shakespeare rewritten.
Mhm.
Um, so one of the things that's in this Easter storytelling is it's the genius against the prodigy.
Okay, yeah.
And so they're two rivals.
Mhm.
So that is a thing that happens in Naruto, and it happens in that actually does happen in Dragon Ball Z, but not it happens later in Dragon Ball Z. Um, it happens in a lot of the Eastern storytelling, and we just don't see it. It
Right.
happens in Star Wars, and like the
Mm.
argument is that have you ever seen Star Wars?
Mhm.
Okay,
Not
so
all of them.
are you familiar with like episode 1, 2, and 3 that came out in like 2000 or
The older
1998,
ones? Y
2001, and
yes.
2005? Okay,
Yes.
or whatever the years were. Um, you got Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Let me rephrase. Let me go back. So in episode 4 that came out in 1977, Luke Skywalker goes after the droids. He gets knocked out. Obi-Wan Kenobi comes and saves him. Obi-Wan takes him to his house. And they're familiar with each other, but they're not like best friends, but they know each other. Yeah, Obi-Wan's been around, but he's like his crazy uncle. I have a crazy uncle. I love him. He's awesome.
Crazy uncle.
We all have that guy. But um, the in that scene, if you go and rewatch it, Obi-Wan Kenobi tells Luke Skywalker the plot to episode 1, 2, and 3. He
Oh,
tells him. Like he just tells him. He's like, I knew your father, blah 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 blah. He's like, he was the best star pilot in the galaxy and a cunning warrior. He was murdered by your father. Like he tells him the plot. And so
right.
when you go back to watch episode 1, 2, and 3, it's the it's that scene turned into 3 movies. How
Yeah.
did Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader? So for me, like what we would do is because like there's no protagonist in episode 1, 2, and 3. There's no like universal good guy. There's no main character. Different characters who all have phenomenal tropes and personalities all
Sure.
share the screen, but like you could argue Qui-Gon Jinn is the main character of the first movie, and then he dies, and you're like, okay, where are we going to go with this? Even though we
Right.
already knew where we were going to go. So if it were me, and we're doing episode 1, with the pod race and everything, you're pretty familiar with it.
Mhm.
Okay. So you have this Obi-Wan Kenobi character. Rather than him going off planet with Qui-Gon Jinn to Naboo to stop this trade, blah blah blah, because whatever. You have him by himself. And he's a young Jedi. It's like, let's say early 20s. And he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's also like a genius. And he's the youngest who's ever become a Jedi, and he's pretty powerful, and he's smart, and he's funny, and he's got this like Spider-Man like quip about him where he tells jokes while he's doing stuff, and
Okay.
he's whatever, and he's the one who goes on this journey. He's the one who goes to Naboo. He's the one who gets the princess out. He's the one who lands on Tatooine, and then when they land on Tatooine, Anakin Skywalker is like 15, not a little kid. But Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, about the same age, right? 15, 16, when he meets him.
Yeah.
And so the pod racing scene, all that same stuff still happens. All of the same stuff still happens. They go to Coruscant. They have the meeting. They're like, you're too old for this. You're like 16 years old, and we need to indoctrinate the Jedi way into other people. He was in slavery. Obi-Wan gets him out of slavery. You can even have Qui-Gon Jinn going to Naboo at the end
I'm so
with
intrigued.
you have Qui-Gon Jinn who decides to go with Obi-Wan back to Naboo to stop what's about to happen.
Do you feel that you and Aaron have the same idea? Like, do you have the same idea, rewriting idea? Like, or you two, would you be debating what should happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, do your visions align?
That's a bridge we'd have to cross, but I think it's pretty close. I
Okay.
think we could come up with something that's
I like the idea.
close to the narrative. But so zooming all the way out, you know, Qui-Gon dies. Obi-Wan decides to train him, even though the Jedi Council's like, buddy, you're 21 years old and that kid's 16. You don't know shit about fuck. But but that incident that happens on Naboo begins the Clone Wars.
Okay. Interesting.
Rather than waiting to the end of the second one,
Interesting, yeah.
it starts there. The Clone Wars begin on Naboo.
Interesting.
And Natalie Portman's character is kind of trapped in the middle.
Hmm.
And so because after that, she's kind of useless.
You've thought this out.
A lot. A lot. But then the rest of the story, because you find out that, like, in the first movie, you find out Anakin is a prodigy and
Mhm.
Obi-Wan is a genius. And
Okay,
so it's like, who else is better to train a prodigy than a genius?
yeah.
And then that's when you have this thing where they're like, he's training him and he's getting a little bit better than him sometimes, and they move forward. And at the end of end of the second movie, he becomes Darth Vader at the end of the second movie. And so in the third movie, it is Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan. Darth Vader's going and killing all these Jedi. Obi-Wan's chasing him down, trying to stop him. Obi-Wan eventually stops him, but then he puts the black suit on and becomes the Darth Vader that we see. And Obi-Wan goes into hiding because he created a monster.
I like it.
That
I
makes better sense to me than what we got.
You need to I'm excited to see this come to fruition because I think this will be very interesting, especially if you have a counterpart and you guys are kind of like mapping it out. I think that'd be I like the series.
But once
I've
again,
already.
I haven't even put it to paper. Like, I haven't even, like, I've thought about that specific thing, those specific things a lot, and we've discussed it a bunch. But it's all part of, like, the brand making. Like, what is Kitchen Couch? Kitchen Couch is a place where you can feel welcome and you can have opinions, thoughts, and ideas, and no one cares. Just don't be fucking mean. And anyway, look, we've been at this for an hour and 16 minutes, 2 hours
2
and 16 minutes
hours.
now. I appreciate it.
I
Um,
appreciate you.
I know you have to go. I kind of should go do something. I spent, 10 hours at the festival yesterday. I should probably go to the
Oh,
gym.
yeah. But you were standing at least,
I was
or at
exhausted.
least you're standing.
I thought I was going to get up early. I went to bed early. I went to bed the moment I got home. I ate some food and went to sleep. I was going to go to Trusty's actually and get a drink. And I was like, nah, I
You're
go
like,
home and go to, you got stuff to do. So, I woke up really late today. I didn't do much and was exhausted. And I was like, okay, got to go do stuff.
gotta go do stuff. Sometimes that's the hardest part is getting up and starting it. I feel that.
It's just, I know how I feel after I go do stuff.
Mhm.
And so that kind of drives a lot of the narrative for
Oh,
my daily life.
good for you because I know how I feel when I lay in bed extensively, and that's typically what drives me to stay in bed longer because
So
it's comfortable.
so my question to you is, what's next for you?
In what way?
In what capacity? Okay, so what's next for you for the YouTubes?
Well, this summer is freaking crazy. I have 2 more vlogs from the Europe trip coming out, this week and next week, and then after that, I think I have, like, 1 more DC vlog I'll be doing. I'm going to Warp Tour in a couple weeks, so that will be a thing. The
See you
week
there.
after that yeah, see you there. That I'll have to come say hey. The week after that, I am going to another music festival in Michigan, so there's a couple of videos for like, it's just adventure after adventure after adventure. So,
Cool.
lots of vlogs. The summer's packed full, so
And when do you take off? When do you move?
the day after Warped Tour.
Oh no,
It's
I
like
don't like
soon.
that. I don't like
Yeah.
that. I kind of like seeing you every once in a while.
I know. It's okay, we can always do this again. Maybe we'll do this for my channel or something.
We could do this anytime. I would really super enjoy it.
I'll be
Actually,
a repeated guest.
we could do that. I'd like that because I think you're great on camera.
Thank
Uh, and easy to talk to, even though I've said most of the things.
you. It's been great. I've had a great time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of
I look
course.
forward to see your channel continue to grow. Really, you're killing it. With
It's
just have starting recently and you already hit your hours and like
Yes,
you're almost
started January 25th.
that's insane. And you're almost
We'll
to
see.
that next threshold. So rock on. Keep it up.
We'll see. The subscriber thing is so, like, I recognize it's more about creating community for that. But yeah, anyways, I appreciate you. And then to the listeners, thank you for staying this long. Please like and subscribe, even though we've talked about liking and subscribing this entire time. Please do so.
Do it all.
Uh, go and subscribe to Ren's channel, and I'll have a link to it in the description. But it is called Living Large with Le Crew.
That's me.
Yep, phenomenal stuff about Europe and her travels, and just her doing her thing. So
All the things.
it's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah.
And then that's all I have for us. So thank you for staying this long, and goodbye, everybody, and later, taters.